I'm bored. I'm open for some requests for material. Fire away, everyone. You know what? You're on. I have been waiting for a reason to rip this team to shreds, and now I have it. The Pittsburgh Steelers are one of the most hypocritical, two-faced, sniveling, and unlikable organizations in all of football. Even as a native of the city, I cannot stand them anymore. How can we even begin? There's that Michelin man known as Big Ben. Let me put it to you this way. Nobody in this city actually likes Ben Roethlisberger. We merely tolerate him because he can somehow throw a football and he isn't Cordell Stewart. Now he has reached the Brett Favre eclipse of his career, where the fat fuck fancies himself a great leader and bandies back and forth about retirements because he's running out of lives on the field. It's fucking drone-worthy to hear him go on about how we need to follow him and how immature everyone else on the team is. Bitch, are you for real? Do I have to exhume all of the skeletons about your past? And it's not even the rape allegation. It's about being a total cunt to everyone you meet and the whole drama with the fucking motorcycle. It's about being banned from several bars in the area for walking out on a bunch of tabs. It's about suspiciously getting married and having kids when the rape fervor was at its peak. It's about being a total fucking hypocrite. You were that immature sack of shit. We know what's going to happen, man. You're going to retire, shed some tears in a press conference, and sign with the Cardinals to be with your buddy Bruce Arians a few weeks later. He's merely tame compared to a few others on the squad, like Le'Veon Bell, a man who oozes patience that he could read the Canterbury Tales by Chaucer and still manage a 5-yard gain. Unfortunately, the dude is kind of an idiot. What with the hotboxing on a major highway, refusing to take several mandatory drug tests, and holding out because he finds a $12 million franchise tag to be insulting. And this was after allegedly rejecting a contract extension. Hate to say it because he sheds talent like he does tackles, but the dude's a lolcow. But how could he be a lolcow, you ask? He's one of the best running backs in the league. The man just wants to get paid, you ignorant hack. Simple. 2 words. Rap career.
Trent Bayless, I've been hearing you lately. You love Jerry way too much, you acting like y'all related. I got the Hall of Fame waiting. I'm the best and you hate it. I don't know why you hating. I don't know why you hate me. Probably cause my name is benching close with some of the greatest. Then they talk about patience, you close to testing my patience.
Don't quit your day job anytime soon, buddy. Then there's Antonio Brown. A man whose hubris has transcended the spiritual plane and now has its own field of orbit. A little ego and confidence can be healthy. Brown has not only gone past this point, but taken a gigantic shit on it as well. The man is becoming absolutely cancerous, live streaming immediately after a playoff game and showing his mug to millions while Mike Tomlin is speaking in the background after a goddamn playoff game. If he doesn't get the ball, he's just going to pout until the second coming. Seriously, first touchdown in the conference championship doesn't go his way. He whines about it on the sideline. These actions aren't the Steeler way, obviously. Something needs to be done about this pest. I know. Sign him to the biggest fucking extension a wide receiver has ever gotten. Can we please put an end to this Steeler way dogma? It's one of the biggest piles of shit I've seen since Jim Ball's silly. The so-called code only applies if you're a scrub or bench warmer. If a star player does something egregious, they simply brush it off and sweep it under the rug. If you just happen to be a fifth-string wide receiver or backup defensive tackle, nope, fuck you, you're cut. It's utter hypocrisy. Either everyone is subject to this Steeler way, or nobody is. Tell me this, if you care so much about this honor code, then why the fuck is Joey Porter still an assistant coach? The fucker accosted a bouncer at a local bar, was arrested for it, yet he was on the sidelines in full capacity the next week like he had just come back from Sunday school. Jeff Reed was one of the biggest lolcows in football for a few years, but they did nothing until he could no longer kick a football. Martavis Bryant can't stop smoking weed, yet he's still on the goddamn team. It's completely fake, yet everyone's so arrogant that it's apparently the be-all and end-all for Steeler football. Fuck off with this garbage. But do you want to know the worst part of this organization? The fan base. Oh, jumping Jesus Christ, the fan base. You thought the Eagles fan base was bad? Steeler Nation makes them look like choir boys. Growing up and marinating in this shit, I'd rather waltz into the old vet and get pelted by snowballs all game long than deal with a yinzer. Everybody talks about how loyal the fans are, how they wouldn't give up on the team no matter what happens. They obviously drank the Kool-Aid. In reality, we are some of the most knee-jerk sacks of shit you will ever meet. Look at the stands every time they are losing in the second half of a home game and then lecture me about their loyalty. We are the type of people that will go from gloating about how this team is going to win the Super Bowl one week to demanding everybody and their mother be fired the next. Mike Tomlin may be a walking cliche dispenser who doesn't know how to manage a game clock if his life depended on it, but he's still a top 10 coach in the league. Most fans want him fired after every loss and even some victories. Do you have any idea how many people would die in Cleveland or Cincy if they had a chance to get Tomlin as their coach? The Aztec sacrifices would pale in comparison. Everywhere you go in this town, a Steelers jersey is considered proper attire everywhere. Bars, restaurants, family gatherings, shopping excursions, fucking churches. I half expected a Steelers chant to start out at Dan Rooney's funeral. Everywhere I go, I see these inbred fucks driving around in some shitty 92 Ford Taurus decked out in some semblance of a shrine to the Steeler gods. It's as fake as the blue-collar mentality that this city boasts about. It hides the inescapable truth about the Steelers fan base. We are massive fucking hypocrites. We speak about how patriotic we are, yet immediately flip the fuck out when the president made an emergency address to the nation during the first few plays of a Steelers game against Indianapolis. He was discussing the San Bernardino shootings. We are the kind of people that will have a Klan hood next to an autographed Mean Joe Green jersey and have zero understanding of the irony behind it. We will never shut the fuck up about this team's successes, but we will be the first to hide the bodies of past failures. We laugh at the Browns and their misery, yet forget that the Steelers were the joke of the NFL deep into the 1960s. We put the Chief on a pedestal for being a great leader, but conveniently forget that he didn't care for winning and ran the team like a fucking country club. We constantly complain about how the Patriots are such cheaters, and then conveniently dismiss the team's rampant steroid use during the Steel Curtain era. We flipped so much shit about Vontaze Burfict's hit on Antonio Brown, yet Mike Mitchell does the same shit nearly every week and we barely bat an eyelash. And then there's Michael Vick. Good old Michael Vick. We can't have that troublemaker on our team. He's not a true Steeler. Yinzer Nation will never tolerate such behavior. True, Vic may have been a fucking idiot, but the man served his time and has done a significant amount for dogs since he's been released from jail. Even if fans hate him, who the hell do we cheer for? A quarterback who can't keep his dick in his pants and had kids as a PR move. A running back who hotboxes as often as he makes shitty rap tracks. A wide receiver who makes Ricky Henderson look modest. A fucking idiot who gets his stash from Josh Gordon. A tight end who actively lied to doctors about concussion symptoms. A center who actively defended Aaron Hernandez during his murder trial. And a linebacker who beat his girl during an argument. But that's okay, because Dan Rooney excused his behavior saying it was about baptism. Yeah, baptism. Didn't mention that during all the necrophilic rim jobbing, now did you? The dude didn't give a shit about anything besides Duquesne and the North Shore, yet people hailed him as this champion of the city. It's fucking baffling. Even if you think I'm a goddamn idiot who has an axe to grind, there is still one thing that is pure truth. They can't beat New England! They may have made the Super Bowl 3 times in that tenure, but they have never had to face the Patriots during that time. The Steelers are their version of the Washington Capitals. It was on full goddamn display last year with their coaching. Oh boy, Zone D! It's not like Tom Brady has been ripping that apart for the last 15 years. People were treating Keith Butler like he was Prince Charles waiting for the Queen to die for a decade, yet this is the best that he could come up with? Nope, they went full Steelers again. They got eliminated in the conference championships to, what do you know, the fucking Patriots! During one of my many head-shaking moments last fall, I slowly came to a firm realization. I hate this team. Every goddamn aspect of this organization is abhorrent on the inside and out. The sheer arrogance and insufferability of every action, every word, every play they make oozes like Heinz ketchup. Nothing would make me happier than to see this team become the Cleveland Browns of the NFL again, like they were throughout the 1960s. It's coming, too. Big Ben's legs are going to get shredded and he'll fuck off. Le'Veon is going to be forging a shitty rap career elsewhere. Antonio Brown is going to become a total cancer and might be run out of town. I personally can't wait for it. Artie II is a meddlesome piece of shit and I expect him to fuck everything up sooner rather than later. Yinzers, I know you're pissed at me. I know you want to punch the screen of your old compact, but you know deep down in your heart that I'm right. Your angry calls to sports radio after every loss is brilliant comedy, and I await more of it in the future. Come the fuck at me! And by the way, Permanis is overrated pig slop.
It's Elliott! Elliott! For the touchdown! No flags! Cowboys lead! 9 seconds left. Play action. Bortles upstairs, wide open.
I told you. I've been telling you this would happen for weeks now. But did any of you listen? All you kept saying was that I had an agenda, that I had an axe to grind. Well, where are you now? Don't get me wrong, I take no pride in being right about this. It was just something I came to expect. I saw it with them constantly playing down teams. I saw it with all of the drama. Fuck, I saw it when Jacksonville beat their asses back in week 5. Once again, ego was this team's downfall. The absolute arrogance of this squad from top to bottom, coaches to bench warmers, was on full display all season long. Every fucking time that I would hear these fuckers open their mouths, it was about how they were going to get back in New England. Last year was just a fluke. They were going to go to Foxborough and kick their asses and prove how great they really are. Well, guess what? You didn't even fucking get to them. You got completely fucking owned on your home field by the fucking bologna sandwich man. But you know what? With how all of you little shits treated James Harrison on his way out, how you sniped him at every waking moment, it's time for the cannons to be turned back on you. Two can play at this game, motherfuckers, and this mockingbird doesn't exactly sing. All I kept hearing on sports radio and from the fans all this fucking week was about how Jacksonville was such a weak team. They are no match for the Steelers, they all said. The Jags are going to get absolutely creamed. Did any of you fuckers not see week 5? How they stomped you with a healthy D at home? Did nobody panic when the goddamn Browns torched the starting secondary in week 17? But oh no, they have Blake Bortles as their QB. He can't throw a football. He is awful. What a laugh everyone had at his expense. You know what? Blake Bortles did what he needed to do. Blake Bortles didn't make mistakes like Ben did. All you care about is your fucking narratives about how the Steelers are this invincible organization that can do no wrong and they ascend past the drama. And you wonder why I think sports journalism in this city is a total fucking joke. You make me sick! Mike Tomlin, if I were to seek a bigger blowhard in this city, I don't know if I could find anyone. You epitomized the team as a whole. Nothing but talk. Talk all the shit you want about the Patriots, but do you want to know something? They have a culture. They wouldn't accept any of the shit you let your players do. Remember when people were talking about how James Harrison was dogging practices and sleeping through meetings? Who was more at fault? The player or the coaching staff that enabled it? You've allowed the insufferable egos in the locker room to take over and you've done nothing but bend to their will. But I know what you're gonna do. You're gonna huff and puff about how this is unacceptable for the team. No fucking cliches in the world can allow you to prevent your team from playing down to their competition. Once or twice, I get it happens, but it occurs every single fucking game. There's a point where it's on the staff to get a team prepared for anything and everything. This is a professional league and you've done nothing but coast on high-end talent. Terry Bradshaw may be an asshole, but he's absolutely right. You're a cheerleader. You're Dan Bilesma. You've allowed a toxic environment to fester for the sake of being a player's coach. You know how many coaches would kill for the level of talent on this team, yet you continue to waste it every single year. Get fucked. Todd Haley, I would waste breath on you, but that is too good for your useless ass. Everything about you is just sniveling elitism. You're too good to do the basic plays. You have to make yourself seem so much more of a genius. A jet sweep on a 4th down, oh boy, you fooled them there, Todd. A play-action pass on a 4th and 1, Bill Walsh bows down to your glory. The most offensive things you do are kerfluffles at local bars. Larry Johnson was right about you. You are cancer incarnate. You're making Captain Fatfuck look sympathetic. Do you know how impossible that is? Hiring you was a colossal mistake. Get fired and take your faux tough guy routine to a high school, you fuck. Mike Mitchell, you are the most useless sack of shit I have ever seen. Everything about you sickens me to my core. The way you prance and beat your chest on the football field as you give up 25-yard gains. How you're one of the dirtiest players in the league. How you get burned by the simplest shit like flea flickers. You know the main goal of a safety is to cover people, right? You're as terrible as this defense is. You are nothing but talk. All you do is throw your mouth around about everything under the fucking sun. How you're going to beat New England in hell or Haiti or anywhere. Have you seen how awful you're fucking playing? You are one of the worst safeties in the league, hands down. I would compare you to Vontaze, but you know what? Vontaze has talent. Vontaze doesn't open his mouth to spew shit every 5 seconds. You are a total waste of oxygen. Perhaps in that little brain of yours, you can actually think about, I don't know, stopping to reflect on how shitty of a player you are. Oh look, I have Mitchell right here. I know it's a burning pile of trash, but what's the difference? You want to know the worst part of all of this? This year may have been their last chance. This offseason is a crossroads for them. Captain Fatfuck may be debating retirement yet again. If it's his last game, then good riddance to that asshole. Le'Veon may be gone. They aren't going to pay him. I honestly wouldn't either, not with that ego. He can whine and bitch about the franchise tag as he makes shitty rap tracks. Martavis Bryant is definitely gone, thank God. This offense could be decimated. Even if Ben comes back, he isn't getting any younger. You might be done. And for what? One of the greatest failures in football's recent memory. You are the football version of the Washington Capitals. Fuck this fucking team, fuck these arrogant fucking fans, and fuck the toxic culture that this drama-laden team enables for proving me right yet again. Fuck!
From 42. He missed it. Good goal. Over the top. Intercepted. Ball comes out. Smith Schuster crossed it up. Good hold. And the Chiefs plunge. And the Raiders have beaten the Steelers.
Tonight, on Days of Our Steelers, the Black and Gold Brigade finds more ways to play down to their competition and distract themselves from the main prize of a Super Bowl ring. Big Ben develops another paradox after threatening to retire last season, by boasting he will play at least 5 more years. The diva Antonio Brown openly criticizes the media for not giving him any privacy and nitpicking everything, and then demands to be the center of attention by entering camp via private helicopter. Le'Veon Bell finally begins his round 2 of contract holdouts, once again rejecting a healthy salary and being behind a line for cringeworthy rap tracks and slapping asses at strip clubs. In what ways will the trauma and lack of focus on the game unfold this time? How will the team pretend that all is well as the defense unravels around them? All this and more coming this season on Days of Our Steelers. This week on Days of Our Steelers, the Le'Veon Bell saga takes a sharp twist from the expected outcome. Many on the team believed that he would be back on Labor Day, yet practice passed without a certain running back showing up. Later, the Hernandez defector Marquise Pouncey telepathically predicted that he would be at practice on Wednesday because of contact with the dead. The spiritual realm lied to him as Le'Veon was nowhere to be found. The entirety of the offensive line is rightfully angry at this revelation and proceeds to verbally assault him and his character. Meanwhile, Antonio Brown channels his inner Rodney King and wishes everyone would just get along. As the missing Bell is off rapping about how he feels worthy of payment to a Swiss bank account, the Steelers trek to their yearly holiday. A matchup against the Browns in Cleveland, a usually wonderful time featuring dominance and destroying Cleveland spirits, was marred by ineptitude. The Black and Gold Brigade played hideously down to their competition on a miserable day, with weather matching the mood of Browns fans most weeks. Thank God for James Conner and his awful haircuts. In one of the most embarrassing displays of football since Monsoon Day against Miami, the Steelers committed 6 turnovers, 5 of them by Captain Fatfuck. Despite this, the Browns once again browned on a repeated basis. Yet the Steelers failed to capitalize, resulting in a deeply embarrassing tie. Cleveland's losing streak is over, but the winless streak continues on. The city's water supply will not be open to the Browns faithful. As angry Yinzers blow up the phone on local sports radio, we can safely conclude another episode of Days of Our Steelers. They're both losers! This week on Days of Our Steelers, the diva struts his peacock feathers against the evil media. This time, an ESPN reporter penned a profile of Antonio Brown that didn't fillet him and his glory at every turn. Brown responds to this unbiased reporting the way most thick-skinned people do, by threatening physical violence against them on Twitter. Little does he know that whatever goes on the internet stays there and is forced to apologize for being caught in the act. Mike Tomlin, the great leader that he is, shits his pants and does nothing about it. Meanwhile, another week passes as Le'Veon Bell remains MIA from the team. Bell is coping with his absence by partying it up on South Beach. Truly a man with his priorities in order. As the Steelers play Kansas City at home, they chose to pay tribute to Le'Veon by not showing up until the second quarter. Despite allowing the Chiefs to go full read in one quarter, it's not enough. The team defense is absolutely atrocious as Pat Mahomes and the Chiefs treat them like wet cardboard. Too bad they're too busy being cocky as none of them can make a tackle. The diva, as always, makes himself the center of attention by bitching on the sidelines because he isn't getting the ball as the Steelers are humiliated once again. The remainder of the league laughs as they await another episode of Days of Our Steelers. This week, on a very special episode of Days of Our Steelers, the fallout from the Chiefs game is so widespread that we had to split this segment from Sports Ball and make it into its own video. The crusade against all things discipline begins with the underachieving linebacker Bud Dupree being chirped at by a fan wondering why he keeps performing magic and disappearing on the field. Dupree unleashes his inner 12-year-old and says that he's with his girl. Little did we all know that during their hookup, the girl role-played as a quarterback and Bud couldn't get anywhere near her. Refusing to be outshined by his players after a sideline tantrum, Antonio Brown chooses to respond to his own critic in the form of a former PR representative of the Steelers. He said that he was nothing without Big Ben. He carried AB to his contract and reputation. Total blasphemy in his eyes. The living version of Narcissus chooses the high road this time and tweets to the man, "Trade me. Let's find out." As the world explodes in the sea of arrogance and short-sightedness, AB reinforces his work ethic and drive by no showing practice the very same day. Now the panic really starts setting in. Coach Tomlin once again covers his ears and refuses to comment on Brown's antics. The diva eventually returns to practice the next day, only to be given a light punishment from the team. He will not be benched for the next game, just a small spanking and a few bucks in terms of fines. What does AB do after this regard? Flip out on the media yet again. His actions are the result of those dang dirty sports pundits who scar his wonderful name. Just like Stormy Daniels, whom is caught up in her own web of controversy as she alleges an affair between her and Donald Trump. During this unholy tryst, Trump had a right hand at his side, Captain Fatfuck. He was chosen to personally escort her back to her hotel room, and maybe get some sloppy seconds as well. Daniels alleges that Ben wanted a goodnight kiss, i.e. tap that ass like an oil reserve. Stormy refused and went into her room as Big Ben awkwardly sat there and knocked on the door for a few minutes. He should have tried to evade the pocket a few times, then throw deep to an open wide receiver. Too bad he would have overthrown him by 15 yards. Thus leads to our prodigal son in this drama, Le'Veon Bell. Bell is once again away from the team for the personal sabbatical of relaxing and barely lifting a finger in Miami. The Steelers have all but thrown their hands in the air and removed him from the active roster, but that doesn't stop Le'Veon from crying poor. "Just pay me," he cries from his 5-figure jet ski. He needs to be compensated fairly. He says this as he has pissed away more money in the last few weeks than most of us will make in the next decade. This hasn't stopped Bell from his true passion in life: terrible rapping. Instead of dropping defenders with brilliant moves, he's dropping those sick beats and threw a party for his newest DP. Steelers fans cringe as most music fans cringe at his so-called music. The Steelers must have cringed too, as they are actively shopping Le'Veon for what will probably be a few terrible towels. Yes, even as Mike Tomlin sits and wonders where the fuck he went wrong, the three-ring circus has arrived in the Steel City. Steelers legend Hines Ward simply puts his hands over his face in disgust and realizes this isn't the team he retired from. Perhaps we can call it karma for their arrogance, or just years of neglecting to treat the cancer as it metastasizes into a wide-scale infection. The law will be laid down, the whips will be cracking, and the fear of God will be put into the hearts of every man in that locker room. This renaissance will begin against the hotshot Buccaneers, led by a man whom the Steelers know well in Ryan Fitzpatrick. The Steelers proceeded to remove the curtain behind the imposter and realize that this is, yes, Fitzception. The Buccaneers proceeded to walk themselves off the plank on drive after drive with a combination of self-inflicted wounds and ref balls. To try and atone for these sins, Chris Conti offered himself as sacrifice to a vengeful stiff arm courtesy of Vance McDonald. He is currently wanted for third-degree murder in Florida. Even as the Steelers were as undisciplined as they were off the field, they coasted to a strong lead by halftime. Despite the so-called cruise control, the Steelers proceeded to let the foot off the gas and turtle. The result was Tampa Bay lining up their ships next to the trauma-laden Steelers port as they nearly blow a 20-point lead. Despite all attempts from the defense to reinforce that they are indeed terrible, Pittsburgh escapes with a lucky victory. Regardless of the media narrative changing, this win proceeds to leave the Pittsburgh faithful with more questions than answers. Does this team have any sort of self-control? Can this defense even stop a light breeze? Will they be relying on Captain Fatfuck to bail them out of every situation? Or will he have to force passes to the diva so he can shut the hell up? As I fear that this season is peaking far too early, it's time to conclude another episode of Days of Our Steelers. Hope to God I never have to split this off again. This week, on Days of Our Steelers. We tried our damn hardest to put this into sports ball, but they had to make it too juicy to combine once again. The story begins after last week's near snagging of defeat from the Buccaneers, as Captain Fatfuck suffers allegations of diving on a certain roughing the passer call. Knowing the jig is up, Big Ben admits that, unsurprisingly, he imitated Neymar on the football field. Perhaps he learned such technique from the rape allegations, who knows? Despite his diving and off-sync throws downfield, the real star this week is Le'Veon Bell. He's like Moses, except instead of 40 years in the desert, he's partying it up in Miami. Let my payment flow, his eternal cry shall be. Former Steelers linebacker James Harrison knows of his plight and has some sound advice for him. Show up and sign the tender as late as possible, then fake injuries do not be forced to carry the ball 30 times a game. Of course, who couldn't trust the wisdom of James Harrison of all people? Mark Madden couldn't. He took a break from eating Yinzer adoration lathered with hot sauce to rightfully call him an asshole. James Harrison calls an audible from the Antonio Brown playbook. He threatens violence against the radio host. Mike Mitchell, not knowing when to shut the fuck up, chirps in from the sidelines about the so-called haters that ran him onto the unemployment line. The football game taking place is one of critical importance to the Black and Gold Brigade. It's against their hated rival, the Baltimore Ravens, at home. Appearances need to be kept. The Ravens are thinking they are hot shots. They need to be put back in their place. The Steelers flex their muscles, eat their spinach, and promptly shit themselves early as they fall behind 14-0. Pittsburgh was shown mercy as the Ravens made several key mistakes that prevented them from running up the score. The Steelers even tied up the game. Yinzers everywhere were preparing for a night of lotion and Kleenex tissues. The Ravens were ready to die. And then the offense proceeded to do nothing. Who knew that calling a one-dimensional game with no running plays would make a team predictable? It also doesn't help that nobody in the passing game is in sync. The rest of the NFL got to witness a clinic on how to stop this offense. You sprinkle Old Bay all over the field and pelt them with soft-shell crabs. 47 yards of total offense. That's all that was mustered in the second half. The defense was once again reminiscent of a landfill. Shit everywhere. The Ravens' offense imposed their will on the tattered curtain. Not even Renegade can allow the D to do anything of note.
Like seriously, how the fuck does nobody on this defense know how to make a fucking tackle? How many first and second round picks have we used on these scrubs over the past few years? Can we somehow not allow them to gain 4 or 5 yards after first contact? This is one of the worst defenses I've personally seen this team have. How the fuck is everyone on the team pretending this shit is fine? This is a fucking disgrace.
Excuse me, I slipped out of character. The final score of this affair does not tell the true story here. The game was a total embarrassment for the Steelers. Absolute domination by a once inferior division rival. Baltimore themselves weren't happy with their offensive output, as they felt they could have scored far more than what they did. This is the reality of the Steelers. Hard questions need to be pondered. Maybe the Black and Gold Brigade is just a bad team. Perhaps the window of Super Bowl contention has slammed shut. Full-blown panic has set in for the Steel City. Pittsburgh shall remain miserable and angry in everyday life for the remainder of the work week. As Le'Veon slowly licks his chops at this team's self-destruction, we conclude another episode of Days of Our Steelers.
To make it a 6-point.
This week on Days of Our Steelers, the prodigal son makes an announcement to the hope-starved citizens of Pittsburgh. Le'Veon Bell has had enough struggling with the sunshine and relaxation in the oasis of Miami. His rap ambitions have been realized with the official release of his EP and desires to return to the football field. He has allegedly chosen his date to return. Week 7. Yes, Week 7. This also coincides with the Steelers' bye week, so it should lead to less wear and tear on his Herculean body. Even as the offensive linemen ponder why he's taking so goddamn long, there may be hope for the Black and Gold Brigade. Well, except for the Steelers brass. Angry and vengeful at their wayward running back, they may be flirting with the idea of a 2-week roster exemption for Le'Veon, thus potentially robbing him of another 7 figures in salary. Punitive punishments are truly the Steeler way, especially for a bell cow like Le'Veon. Meanwhile, in the D.I.V.A circles, Antonio Brown is frustrated with the passing attack. He compared it to a spotty Wi-Fi connection. Not like a bad provider, more like that shitty hotel Wi-Fi that is slow as hell and keeps cutting out because it's a dick. Once again, truly a man who understands the real world. The game this week is all but crucial for both teams. The Steelers and Falcons desperately need wins to keep their playoff ambitions in decent health. Despite massive questions that remain for the Black and Gold Brigade, they played the most complete, well-rounded game of the season. They physically dominated the line on both sides of the ball and... Wait, this isn't the right script. It appears I'm looking at the wrong implosion. Time for an audible.
This week
On General Hospital, the hopes and ambitions for the Atlanta Falcons season takes a massive turn for the worse and nearly drowns in the Three Rivers. Joining the cast in the hospital ward is their starting defensive tackle, Grady Jarrett. A devastating blow for a defense shot to pieces. In yet another embarrassing affair, the flightless Death Rats unleashed a horrific sickness upon their fanbase and shot themselves in the dick repeatedly. The autopsy to this game reveals the cause of death being, well, everything. A few unnecessary penalties, more drunken play calling by Sarkisian, the offensive line collapsing like the lungs of these Falcons, and that defense. Oh boy, that defense is something special, ain't it? The Falcons' D is a lot like a Fabergé egg. Ornate, delicate, and beautiful. And then some bastard chucked it against the wall, shattering it into a billion pieces and exposing its hollow remains. James Conner bull rushes the carcass and pisses on its ashes. By the way, have another in-game injury to Tack McKinley. Oh yes, Tack. Big Ben saw you. And you cramped up like the defense did. At least Alfred can try to help you out. Oh wait, his ass got third-degree burns by Antonio Brown. Be warmed in this failure by allowing a team with a sketchy pass rush to feast on Matty Ice all game long. The Falcons and their once hyped season are now on life support. Battered and beaten by a series of painful defeats and embarrassments that make 28-3 almost look routine. In a stacked NFC South, Atlanta is the odd ones looking inward. At 1-4, the season is all but finished in name only. What will these sickening birds do to mend the tide? Will Matt Ryan and the offense find ways to bail them out? Oh right, the defense is still wrecked to shit. You're fucked. This failure to succeed with the talent at your disposal will probably cost Dan Quinn his job. Have a nice afterlife on the unemployment line. At least for one day, the drama-laden circus of the Steelers gets to flaunt and ballyhoo about going to the Super Bowl and fancy themselves beating New England. Like the Falcons' playoff hopes, General Hospital will fade to black.
There's nothing like a strong victory. There's no way the Steelers can fuck this up.
Are you motherfucking kidding?
This week, on Days of Our Steelers. They blocked me on Twitter! I didn't even directly tweet or message these people. They just blocked me like a pulling de Castro. How long until their death squads come after me? This week, on Days of Our Steelers, the D.I.V.A tries his hardest to improve Wi-Fi connectivity in Florida and on the football field. No stranger to the spotlight, Antonio Brown apparently had an off-season to remember. Not only did his likeness get plastered on the cover of Madden, its curse apparently hit him much earlier than anyone else's. Flashback to a sunny day in April. Antonio Brown is returning to his loft in Florida after more than likely strutting his peacock feathers for the loving cameras. There was something amiss though. He believes he had been robbed of valuable possessions. The prize is stolen, $80,000 and a gun. With all of that money, a safe to hold these items is deemed obsolete in Antonio's eyes. To him, this was like losing a remote, but much more sinister. Antonio has been crossed. There is only one logical explanation. He was set up by apartment security. In an impulsive fit of rage, Brown proceeds to do what most reasonable people do in this situation. Chuck furniture out the window of a 14th floor balcony. Little did he know the gods of fate were not on his side. The furniture and vases he threw for glory nearly hit a toddler and his grandfather. The poor child was a foot or two away from being directly hit, and now this boy is suffering night terrors and further trauma, anguish that no one deserves. Brown may be pleading his innocence, but he is currently being subpoenaed for 2 lawsuits. One by the landlord, and one by the father of the toddler. The suits allege that Brown was belligerent and yelling at security, further proving how much of a likable guy he is off the field. A spin on the wheel of discipline is in the realm of possibility. Head coach Mike Tomlin again chooses to cover his ears and ignore the noise around him. There is football that needs to be played, but there is one thing he needs to mention. The blatant ref ball that is hurting his team. The Bullfrog criticized officials, huffing and puffing that he was pissed at how they were ruining the game. The rules are ridiculous, he says. Unfortunately for him, one thing the NFL does not like is being called out for their bullshit. He was told a fine of $25,000 to the NFL's concussion settlement fund. In this regard, the Ginger Hammer always wins. The hammer was also used to strike a blow for the Indianapolis Colts. Battered by a ridiculous string of injuries, they are forced to settle for a new acquisition. Former Steeler Mike Mitchell. Now they will know the horrors of his piss-poor tackling form and a mouth that would make Furby seem like a mute in comparison. Mitchell does have a theory as to why he couldn't get a job. Eric Reed and his social protests during the anthem. No, Mike, it has nothing to do with the glut of veteran safeties on the market or your terrible performance. It's to do with the guy taking a fucking knee. Someone get duct tape so he can shut the fuck up for once. He can learn from Le'Veon Bell in this regard. Despite boasting that he would return on the Steelers' bye week, neither he nor his agent have made contact with the organization. It's probably going to be one of those things where he pops out of a jack-in-the-box and starts a civil war with James Conner just because. In other news, Juju Smith-Schuster gave birth to a beautiful baby boy on the football field. The beginnings of fatherhood are forming. He was last seen carrying his baby on a onesie in the Steelers' locker room. Drama aside, today's matchup is against a team that the Steelers have consistently found joy in beating. The Bungles. Winners of 6 straight against this irrelevant franchise, the Black and Gold Brigade takes the field on a misty Sunday ready to maintain the narrative. Cincinnati, however, has other plans. They are off to a hot start this season, boasting a 4-1 record, and a victory against the Steel City will go a long way to legitimizing them. As no one on either side can make a catch, the affair turns into the gritty physical affair commonplace in these matches. James Conner did more to prove that the Steelers don't really need Le'Veon to have a strong running game. He beat those defenders like he beat cancer. He says that he doesn't want to be known as the guy that beat cancer, but television wants cheap talking points and everyone wants to beat the shit out of cancer. By the way, has anyone mentioned on this broadcast that he beat cancer yet? Another glorious sight is the eternal owner Javonte Burfict, who chose to try and kill Antonio Brown yet again by means of targeting. As the most beloved man of Pittsburgh, Steelers fans cheered as he was repeatedly owned by the tank known as Vance McDonald and Connor. Despite these strong performances, the terrible defense showed its ugly face as Artie Burns was torched like the Reichstag and proved his first-round pedigree. Cincinnati boasted the lead in the skirmish with a minute and change left. This is usually a bad omen for the Bungles, as they have always found unique ways to crumble, but this is a different team. The Escalooser has closed down and victory shall be drank. Little did they know they were fooling themselves. The high-end talent of the Steelers bailed out the team from certain defeats, like they have done many times over the past few years. They did get some help from a grossly inept defense that was eager to bend over and take their domination on all fours. The Bungles once again bungled. As the Peacock struts his feathers again after an easy touchdown, Cincinnati is staring at the status quo. The Bungles are to Pittsburgh as the Steelers are to New England. They cannot beat them. This now marks the 7th straight victory over their doormat with no end in sight. Perhaps they should have tried throwing furniture at Big Ben on the final play instead of blitzing everybody. As they ponder this course of action, the Escalooser is back in business. The Bungles had a statement win in their grasp and let it slip away yet again. The Steelers' ambitions of the Super Bowl are kicked back into overdrive. As they go into the bye week, we can only hope that the drama ends. Who the hell am I kidding? This is going to keep happening all season. At least there is one comforting fact for the Steelers. They are once again ahead of Cleveland in the standings. Like cancer metastasizing throughout the team's body, so are the days of our Steelers. This week on Days of Our Steelers, a lesson is learned as to why you can't trust hearsay, even if it's reported by reputable news sources. Several weeks ago, the prodigal son Le'Veon Bell boasted to private sources that he would return to the Steelers' home base in Week 7 or the bye week. Despite this boast, the team had heard from neither Bell nor his agent. To the surprise of no one in football circles, Le'Veon has still not returned to the team. Even if a trade is not made, there is a chance that Bell will not return for the season. The impasse continues. Juju Smith-Schuster, however, is an optimist. He believes that he can bring Bell back into the Steel flock. The Mega Millions is his ticket to Le'Veon's heart. 100 of them to be exact. Like all good plans, it bursts into flame. It does not work. Le'Veon will not get his money to join the team. The running back was not amused. He believes everyone is trying to be Kevin Hart and get a laugh at his expense. No, sir, you just happen to do that to yourself. In terms of comedy, this matchup is looking to be a laugher as they play their beloved doormat in the Cleveland Browns. Throughout the season, the Factory of Sadness has ended their winless streak, but has proceeded to twist the knife in ways that rival Chinese torture techniques. Even for Cleveland standards, this year has been agony for them. In the first quarter, they get somewhat of a reprieve. The Black and Gold Brigade proceeded to remain on their bye week as nobody can tackle and offensive Wi-Fi is region blocked. Despite the chances for the Browns to take a commanding lead in this game, they once again failed to capitalize. The Steelers take momentum back with a few strikes, but they don't put it away as they should. A few key fumbles, turnovers, and more idiocy on a free kick lead to the Browns staying in it.
I mean, come the fuck on. This same exact scenario happened a few years ago. How do you not know a free kick isn't the same thing as a fucking punt? It's a live ball, you worthless sack!
Despite the score sheet being close and playing very sloppy football, Pittsburgh realized that they have talent and led the world to relish in its great pastime. laughing at the Browns. Yes, even in a series meant to laugh at the Steelers, the Eternal Factory of Sadness manages to take center stage. When you think they can't go lower, they stumble onto a portal to another dimension and dig there. The Browns have been irrelevant and laughable ever since they returned to the league, and it's turning into yet another lost season for them. This was supposed to be your chance to prove yourselves. You had real players. You had real coaches. You still fucked it up. It's almost as if Hugh Jackson should have been fired last season instead of kicking the can. I know everyone's going to bitch about stability, but not when the foundation is built on a swamp and ready to collapse. You guys are going to ruin Baker. Hell, you already are. His college swagger has been sapped from him. He's completely shot to shit. The Browns should be a solid team, all things considered, but this is fucking Cleveland, and they can't have anything nice because they're owned by an inept clown that wants to be Jerry Boy so fucking bad that he's ruining Tennessee's football program as well. Speaking of Hugh Jackson,
why didn't you call timeouts towards the end of that second quarter there to have timeout at clock when you got the ball back? You could have called some timeouts, or at least have time on the clock when...
I don't even recall that situation that you're speaking to. So,
what? Did I hear that correctly? You didn't know you had timeouts at the end of a half? How long have you been a head coach for again? This is a mistake they don't make in Pop Warner, and you admitted your incompetence to the media. This guy is going down as one of the worst head coaches in NFL history. The dude is outmatched and has nothing but excuses for his failures. Looks like it's going to involve more firings because Cleveland is a shit show and Haslam changes philosophies like he changes pants. Would you look at that? Hugh Jackson has finally been fired. Once again, should have happened last year. I'm not congratulating you for something that should have been done over 9 months ago. It doesn't end there either. Todd Haley is also gone. That abrasive asswipe that fancies himself an offensive genius was told to fuck off as well. Eat shit, Haley. You hear that in the distance? That's called karma. Eat a healthy serving of it at Tequila Cowboy. The season is fucked and Cleveland is a joke again. The new man in charge of the helm is Greg Williams? The same Greg Williams from Bountygate. The same Greg Williams that ran the Bills into the ground at the turn of the millennium. He's a head coach again? Yep, season's done. At least their coaching search can be Lincoln Riley? Why the hell would he want to come to this shithole? And don't say Mo Baker, because that's a lazy excuse. Someone please send Jimmy Haslam to prison already. Only then will Browns fans have the potential for peace. Fucking Cleveland making themselves the center of attention again. Go sink into Lake Erie like the Cavs are doing right now. Haslam and Dan Gilbert are birds of a feather. This is supposed to be about the Steelers. Well, they do relish in laughing at the Browns. It works. This week on Days of Our Steelers, a moment of fucking peace. Please, just let me have this moment. The Steelers controlled and strangled their rival on both ends of the ball, but I have to say one thing to Baltimore. Thank you. Thank you for your god-awful red zone play calling. Thank you for not being able to stop a third down if your lives depended on it. Thank you for treating Lamar Jackson as if he's a fucking hood ornament instead of a football player. Oh, I wonder what the hell you're doing if he's behind center. It sure as hell isn't passing the ball. Who would think that? The Ravens have lost 3 straight and are once again caught in the relentless eye of mediocrity. I'd make a shitty Poe reference, but it drowned itself in the harbor. Everyone missed it like Joe Flacco missed easy reads to his right-hand side. Who the hell needs Le'Veon when James Conner is owning everyone like a boss anyway? Although the drama will probably continue, I at least have a week of tranquility. Even if Captain Fatfuck nearly died on the field. Thank fucking God. This week on Days of Our Steelers, the peace is short-lived as an old face reemerges onto the Pittsburgh scene. Despite consistently vanishing when the heat is on him, Le'Veon has decided that enough is enough and has left his temporary oasis in Miami. In a tweet, the running back states, "Farewell, Miami." The misspelling was probably deliberate as he will most likely return come January. For the meantime, he has settled back into the hostile estate of Pittsburgh. Obviously not coming back for the consistent rain and impending snow in the forecast, Bell puts on his game face and returns to competition, playing pickup basketball at a local gym. The irony of him not risking his health for $14 million, yet potentially being injured for free, is not lost upon the Steeler faithful. Despite his questionable antics, Le'Veon feels he has an end game he's shooting for. He released a series of cryptic tweets for what he feels caters to the Southern Hemisphere. As the rest of us experienced neck pain, Bell states that we shouldn't judge him for his holdout, but we should read between the lines like he does when he's in the backfield. He has also doubled down in not apologizing for his responsibility in creating this program. I wouldn't either. This has been gold in terms of content. What is also gold is new information uncovered in the CBA about Le'Veon's contract situation. If the Steelers would franchise tag him again, he would have to be paid $25 million. If Le'Veon doesn't show up before Tuesday, the Steelers only have the options of a transition tag or cutting their losses. Le'Veon Bell may get his wish. Just like many other weeks, Antonio Brown has decided not to be outshined off the field once again. Imitating his flashy performances on the field, the Diva chose to go for a high-speed joyride on a major suburban highway. Brown was cited for speeding over 100 miles per hour on McKnight Road in the morning before the game. In all seriousness, how do you even go over 100 on McKnight? That road is nothing but traffic lights and retail as far as the eye can see. I'm more amazed he was able to pull it off. Whatever the real issue at hand is a matinee matchup against the Carolina Panthers team eager to assert themselves among the NFC's elite. In their first drive, it was precision and exposed the Steelers' flaws. Carolina was going to cruise to victory.
I'm gonna make it. I'm gonna make it. This is the greatest thrill of my life. I'm king of the world. Woohoo! Woohoo!
They didn't.
Throws has Juju Smith-Schuster. What a start to the night. One play, bang, touchdown Steelers.
In what would become endless spank bank material for the rest of the NFC South, the Panthers were annihilated within one half of play. All optimism that Charlotte had over the past few weeks undone as they caught whatever the hell the Buccaneers defense has and were unable to stop even the slightest of breezes. The Steelers offense was playing Madden, scoring at will and the opposing team's AI doing nothing to stop them. The Black and Gold Brigade chose to play to their potential with a glorious ass-whooping not seen since the Gulf War. The Panthers played like the Republican Guard, hyped up as this great force, and then crumbling under the might of the Steel Curtain. Up by 17, the game couldn't get much worse for Carolina. Then came the second half. The beating of Carolina's hopes and dreams and the meat of every Yinzer in a 200-mile radius continued deep into the night. The Panthers were poached and stuffed by an army of taxidermists, their ambitions of a Super Bowl taking a serious hit. The Steelers, meanwhile, sped past their opponent like AB's black Porsche. Who knew that he was merely depicting what would happen that night? This time, however, he was not pulled over and cited for violating traffic laws. Captain Fatfuck was obviously riding shotgun as he threw more touchdowns than incompletions. As the laws of Thursday Night Football are upheld, the Black and Gold Brigade enters the fast lane as Yinzer mode begins to overtake us all, even the narrator of this series. A Super Bowl victory is inevitable. All hail the inseparable Yinzers as we crush whatever hopes of parity you may have had. Just another day's work for the drama-laden days of our Steelers.
Last time on Saxonville Abbey, these young band of ruffians were led to the knackers by the tired old steeds in Indianapolis town. Chef Ramsay served up a glorious bag of manure for himself to consume. A man whom he called a substandard quarterback raised his defenses for several key plays. This is what we call karma, children. A display of abysmal play topped off by Lord Bottles handing his deadly coughing fit to one of their young wide receivers. The Jaguars' once promising season now hanging in a precarious balance between ledge and chasm. I'm Richard Schittenborough, and this is Saxonville Abbey.
Funding for Saxonville Abbey is provided by
the Church of Carson Wentz of Latter-Down Receivers, the Meadowlands Butt Fumble Society, Antonio Brown Street Racing and Premium Throwing Furniture,
and by
Aaron Rodgers Rectal Extraction Associates.
Further funding for Saxonville Abbey was provided by the Corporation for Public Shitposting and by monthly financial support from sports ball viewers like you. Thank you, you weirdos.
This week, on Days of Our Steelers, a message arrives from the prodigal son. Nothing. The decision regarding Le'Veon Bell's immediate future was awaited with a combination of dread and a desire to get it over with. Bell played his final card by moving back to the Steel City and competing in the spirited game of pickup basketball. Despite these moves hinting towards a return, Tuesday's deadline came and went without the running back arriving to the team's headquarters. Le'Veon Bell will not be a Steeler this season. Captain Fatfuck attempted to contact him before the deadline passed. The only response was in silence. What was once thought of as a temporary standoff has now turned into a total loss. Le'Veon has not only angered the Steelers' faithful, but those that pissed away a top draft pick on him in fantasy leagues. He has gambled on having a bad team throw a shitload of money at him in free agency. Whether it succeeds or not is to be determined. At this point, good fucking riddance. The players themselves almost feel a sigh of relief at this conclusion. The Black and Gold Brigade can now focus on what's important to them. Raiding his locker of all valuables. A team-bonding and professional move if there ever was one. The Twitter terrorizer Bud Dupree imitated a true pirate and took a sleek pair of Jordans. Perhaps they can see a backfield this season, unlike Le'Veon. Some may say this is a bad look for an organization rife in drama, but this was apparently lighthearted and therapeutic for them. The team will call it a situation where boys will be boys and do nothing about it. Meanwhile...
Duval, a land under siege by the forces of failure. As the sun sets and their hopes fade to black, there is no more room for error. With a fiercely challenging opponent on the horizon, it is easier said than done. Chef Ramsay has taken a thick lashing thanks to his open proclamations outside the square. Little does our Michelin star maestro understand the golden rule of shitposting. You talk shit, you get hit. Ramsay may be a star in the culinary world, but he has had a hard time accepting responsibility for his actions. The head of the Saxonville Battalion has pointed his cannons at the viewing public. The Jaguars have been betrayed. The peasantry have become fickle. They need to be put in their place. He feels that the fans are going to miss them when the Abbey becomes a vassal again. A most surefire way to bring the world to your side. The leaders of Jacksonville ponder the next course of action. Perhaps it involves a transfer of Chef Ramsay to a new estate, giving up the best defensive playmaker for reasons of a non-existent culture. These are men of nobility. The rules of the house must be maintained.
In this next affair, the Black and Gold Brigade takes on a new thorn. Jacksonville. The humiliation suffered at their hands last season is not forgotten. Despite being their kryptonite, the Jaguars are deep in their own turmoil, losing their last 5 in brutal fashion.
As the boys anticipate a team they had bested and soon imitated, the importance for victory is greater than ever. One more loss may all but take them out of the playoff hunt completely.
The beginnings of this game lead to a familiar script, the Steelers being completely unprepared for their opponent. Would you call this playing down to their competition? You mean Fournette is back to full strength?
The Lords of Duval start out with a promising run of form, but there is a massive hitch to their plans. The offensive push is sluggish. Lord Bortles is once again imitating a professional quarterback. Despite a return of brilliance by Leonard to the 4 of nets, what should be touchdowns are only field goals. Regardless of their sheer domination on the ledger, they only boast a 9-point advantage to show for it.
There is literally no other way to describe this game than sheer ugliness. Captain Fatfuck looked completely out of sync, the running game stuffed at every turn, and the defense showing holes being unable to stop Leonard Fournette. The Steelers need to get their act together and quickly.
The lingering fear of losing keeps in the mind of Saxonville's faithful. As the Jaguars continue to take penalty after penalty, the Steelers' offense plays right into the hands of the defense. Big Ben atoned for his sins as he gave them presence on a consistent basis.
Roethlisberger malfunctioned as his robotic exoskeleton proceeded to glitch out. His passes missed like the courting of Stormy Daniels. At least until one big pass to the D.I.V.A to give them life.
The Jaguars tried to their damnedest to halt a wall despite a terrible Pittsburgh offense, but the dam eventually broke to a deep gash by Antonio Brown. Even Chef Ramsay can only stop and stare as the village is poisoned.
In these terrible times, we can only rely on high-end talent to hopefully bail them out of an awful situation. The Jacksonville play calling did their best to help, proceeding to do absolutely nothing every play.
Under the trusty stewardship of Lord Bortles, the Saxonville attack provided incredibly timid responses. Ridiculously predictable play calling that the Steelers saw coming like the Queen. God save her if she had to witness this abomination.
The Jaguars did everything in their power to hand the Steelers an undeserved victory.
The heads of Duval became complacent as they chose to let their vaunted defense try and stop the oncoming attackers over and over again. It was only a matter of time before they would manage to break through. It is only a 10-point advantage, easily surmountable.
As the defense did their part by sitting around and letting Jacksonville stumble over themselves, Captain Fatfuck was reprogrammed and given a healthy dosage of painkillers. Those drugs are like spinach to Popeye. It grants him superpowers.
It's almost as if the Jaguars are being run by Douglas Haig, doing the same thing expecting a different result every time. Perhaps they should have learned from Einstein. Unsurprisingly, the Steelers were able to break through their so-called impenetrable lines. The populace grows wrought with concern.
The Steelers have come back into the game, but a fourth down needs to be converted.
Oh my god, Connor, you've gotta catch that shit!
The reinforcements managed to hold the line. Perhaps the offense can do something. Oh right, they fell to shit once again. Because it's the Jaguars and they are arrogant and feel they can do no wrong.
Thank God Jacksonville doesn't have a real quarterback.
As Pittsburgh prepares for another attack, there may not be enough in the tank for the defense to stop them.
There wasn't. The Steelers marched down the field once again for another touchdown. All hail the Vanimal.
Throughout the land, the serfdom is being sacrificed as cannon fodder to prevent the seemingly inevitable defeat. The Jaguars have to do something. The offense needs to do its job.
What the fuck are you doing, Jacksonville? You've been running the same plays all quarter.
Lord Bortles and the offense were proven incompetent again.
Big Ben reached back and pulled out another trusty bailout from his back pocket.
The writing is all but on the wall now. Hetty, I figured this would be the turning point.
Oh my god, Connor, you've gotta catch that shit!
The battering rams are at the gate. The doors are being pushed open. They have come to slay the king.
Running like an option, gonna keep it, dives! Did he break it? Yes, he did!
They won? What?
The collapse is complete.
How the fuck did they win? The Jags should have beaten our asses handily.
The Lords of Duval have turned out to be frauds.
I have never seen a team as incompetent as Jacksonville was.
Their stronghold conquered by a team they had dominated all day.
4 straight 3-and-outs, over 100 yards in penalties. It's not even an effort thing. The Steelers barely had to fucking try.
Complete and utter humiliation.
For God's sake, ask Madden could have called a better game than the Jags did.
The Jaguars defeated themselves.
I mean, I know Bortles sucks, but holy shit, throw some screens, run play action, rollouts, give Fournette some room to fucking breathe.
With this latest batch of incompetence, the season is all but dead.
I feel the same way I did after that wildcard game against the Bengals. My jaw has hit the floor.
Of course, Duval will fail to identify the real problems with the squad and blame the defense for this defeat. It's in no way Lord Bortles' fault, even though they don't trust him to throw a football.
I'm honestly counting this one as a loss. The Steelers won't, but they had no business of winning this one. Take the money and run, boys.
The serfdom is about to rebel. 6 straight losses. A locker room in chaos. Uninspired leadership. The descent back to mockery is beginning. If you'll excuse me, I have to pack my things as the torches are starting to appear before the Abbey. Cheers.
This week on Days of Our Steelers, an escape from Jacksonville with a stunningly undeserved victory as they hopefully don't look a gift horse in the mouth. On the drama front, there was next to nothing.
Man, I could get used to this. The only thing was a minor beef on Twitter between Ryan Switzer and a sports talk show host. Even then, they patched it up and turned the situation into a charity drive. I don't have to deal with Le'Veon or AB being a diva or any other shit that came up. We can focus on football. This episode might be moved to sports ball again. You have no idea how much I love this.
Little did this man know that he would be highly disappointed. This week's matchup brings us to the Rocky Mountains for a game against the Denver Broncos. They aren't exactly the most elite of teams, but they are in desperation mode and need to scrape together wins by any means necessary. Beating the Chargers last week was a start, but the Steelers will not fall into their traps. They'll simply fall into their own. A field goal block on the first drive would hopefully bring them to understand that Denver would play hard. They seem to get the message. The Black and Gold Brigade charges down the field with fury and Grimble.
Grimble! Why the fuck do you fumble there? No wonder why you're the third string tight end. Get in the pit!
The start is concerning, but both teams would continue to jockey for position in the scrum. Despite another Denver touchdown and a lack of execution, the Steelers have 2 things up their sleeve: trickery and high-end talent. They could kick a field goal, but that's not sexy enough. Have a pass to the Army Ranger by Boswell. Q5 times where announcers say Villanueva served several tours of duty in Afghanistan. Wash the taste of his boot out of your mouth with a 97-yard stride by Juju. bask in all of that talent. The Steelers are going to the Super Bowl. New England is going to get fucked so hard they'd think we were General Howe. Yinzer Nation will rise and be insufferable for weeks to come. Or Captain Fatfuck will do that. Denver immediately responds because the Steelers' defense can't be relied upon for a big play. This match was a game again. Let the Broncos fans think that. Let them pretend they're going to win, because the Black and Gold Brigade will march down the field and— No! Connor! No! Why do you betray us now? My life is a lie! Denver then near seamlessly runs down the field, eating precious clock as the steel curtain bends. And bends. And bends. You get the point. The Broncos now lead by 7 as time dwindles. Perhaps the Black and Gold Brigade can bother to get out of their mistake-prone trance and play up to their abilities. How the fuck is this even a game? The Steelers should be absolutely creaming these guys. It's almost as if they were horrifically unprepared, just like most times when playing an inferior opponent. I know you can't blame Tomlin when players make errors, but where is the execution? Where is the urgency? It's a tradition like any other. The Steelers playing down to their competition. The Broncos have things Pittsburgh lacks, like drive and hunger and minimizing careless mistakes. Despite this, Yinzer Nation awaits yet another bailout from most certain embarrassment thanks to their offensive talent. The Black and Gold Brigade make quick work of Denver on their final drive. They are masters at pulling off this bullshit.
3rd and goal. Over the top and intercepted.
What the hell was that?
Let me try and comprehend what I just witnessed. Fat fuck takes the ball, motions to hand it off, and then rips it from Connor when he has money in these situations while throwing to fucking nothing. Who is that even to? If it was a B, it was a horrific underthrow. Where the hell have I seen something close to this?
Fakes the spike, still has it, now fires, and it's intercepted!
Oh my god, it's like these guys have learned nothing. I am incredibly shocked to find this out. The Steelers left 17 to 24 points on the damn board because they couldn't stop fucking up. I had equipped for this, but I fumbled it. Ha. Denver may have gotten kinda lucky, but they played hard and they played to win. In my mind, the better team won. They made Vance Joseph look decent. Vance Joseph! How the fuck do you do that? I'd say I'm surprised, but I'm not. I'd be more shocked if they weren't playing down to teams. Like the team bringing the Broncos back in the playoff hunt, so are the days of our Steelers. Fucking hell, can these guys not force me to separate this shit for once?
Coming up after Days of Our Steelers is a soap opera that was nearly canceled this season, The Bold and the Broncos, starring Philip Lindsay and, well, pretty much just Philip Lindsay. You don't have to worry about him breaking the game open, cause his coaches are too stupid to give him more than 14 carries a game. After letting the Steelers and Chargers figure out masterful ways to beat themselves, the Bold and the Broncos have renewed hope for a postseason berth, as our small hometown hero defends the honor of the city for anyone who talks shit about it. Sure, he may not be as fashionable as kicker and the lead sex symbol of this show, Brandon McManus, but Philip Lindsay doesn't need sex to score. In the NFL, anyway. Delusional Broncos fans, yes, I am one, are now believing in the postseason. That's despite case I'm literally the law of averages Keenum throwing the football. That's despite Vance Joseph evolving into a real head coach more slowly than the platypus. The platypus is one of many exotic games served at hero-turned-villain John Elway's Steakhouse. Guest star Shelby Harris united this shattered group of traffic cones with his game-sealing interception with sheer athletic talent and overproducing salivary glands. So much unnecessary saliva. That's coming up on The Bold and the Broncos, but speaking of salivary glands, will Captain Fat Fuck get the cruise ship back on track after eating the entire buffet? I'll let you answer that, Tree. I'm That's Good Sports on YouTube, brought to you by my mom.
This week, on Days of Our Steelers, Captain Fat Fuck goes on the offensive, and it's not on the football field. After an embarrassing loss to the Broncos where the Black and Gold Brigade fumbled most opportunities, scapegoats needed to be made. As the self-proclaimed elder statesman on the team, Captain Fatfuck chooses to take the initiative. His first target, the rookie wide receiver. He has failed this team far too many times. James Washington didn't come down with the crucial pass after he dove for it and the ball dropped from under him. He didn't just throw James off the bus, he threw him off a ledge on his radio show. It isn't his fault that he slightly overthrew his target at all. It's the receiver who didn't make him look good. Captain Fatfuck, leader of men. His next target is another wide receiver, a much bigger name, the D.I.V.A. On the final play of the game, in which Ben had the entire world wondering if he had lost brain cells, he claims AB was at fault. He says he ran a bad route, resulting in the interception. Yes, we have to ignore the poor read and underthrow by Big Ben for this to in any way make sense. This is also the fault of his offensive coordinator for calling bad plays. It's not like he can try for different reads if his first option is covered. Once again, it is not his fault for his mistakes. Make his teammates take the fall. Captain Fatfuck, leader of men. While some may take offense to the way Roethlisberger went about chastising his teammates for things that aren't completely their fault, the quarterback feels that he is in the right with his public roastings. He feels that he has earned the right to criticize his teammates, citing his pedigree and Super Bowl rings. These accomplishments make him entitled to do things that would be frowned upon in most circles while refusing to accept blame for his involvement. Criticism for thee, but not for me. Captain Fatfuck, leader of men! Despite these public lashings, the D.I.V.A. is okay with it. He's a big boy and understands his quarterback. Just get him the ball and everything would be fine. The Steelers would be looking to rebound after a self-destructive performance with a matchup against another AFC West opponent in the Chargers. On home soil in prime time when they are celebrating several Super Bowl anniversaries, the planets were aligned for an awe-inspiring victory. Seeking revenge and an easy target, they went right to work. They started kicking the Chargers' ass so hard that they were nearly booted back to San Diego. Dominating displays of courage, athleticism, and crushing any sort of spirit a team with no real home games may encounter. Even the defense is...
Isn't that a false start? Come on, you inept fuckwads. How awful do you have to be to not notice that sort of jump? Fucking hell, Ravens and Patriots fans would say that was a false start. What a joke.
Steeler Nation would rally them on, though. They need to make their alumni proud. Look at how Ben overthrows his receiver yet again. Justin Hunter should have been faster and taller, not the QB's fault. Making up for that faux pas, Captain Fatfuck leads his mates to another interception. This was also obviously the receiver's fault for Ben painfully underthrowing that pass. It doesn't matter though, since the Steelers went right back to having a strong Wi-Fi connection and pissed on the ashes of an often mocked franchise. The Yinzers have come out of hiding. The parade has been renewed. I repeat, the Super Bowl parade is back on. The Black and Gold Brigade take a decisive 16-point lead at halftime with a chance to rip their throats out. This will be the statement victory they need. They will have the ball at halftime as they do nothing with it. Fortunately, the Charger offense has done nothing against the Steel Curtain all game. The running game is stuffed, the passing lanes are blocked, and Phillip Rivers is taking such a beating that he may have a 10th child on the field. An easy interception.
That's funny. I could have sworn we cut Mike Mitchell in the spring. That was an easy fucking interception, yet one of our high draft picks comes in with the hit stick and kills our best corner. Now we have to deal with Artie Burns sucking dicks again. Fucking lovely. With the Chargers suddenly back in the game, the offense goes flat. Perhaps it's an issue with Captain Fatfuck being too cozy with the O coordinator. They are far too busy trying to pass the ball instead of establishing a ground game. With one of the best run-blocking offensive lines in football, any defensive coordinator with their salt will adjust. To the Steelers, what is adjusting? Do the same things over and over again, expecting high-end talent to win the day.
Inside the 20, the 10, all the way for the touchdown.
Little did we know it would be the Chargers taking the initiative. With another 2-point conversion, the game was tied. The Steelers blew a golden opportunity in front of their home crowd. Suddenly, the parade plans were being cancelled. Fans were openly fighting with one another in the stands. Everyone is at each other's throats. You are not a real fan, they scream to one another as they offer sacrifices to the football gods. One of the 8 Charger fans in attendance should do the trick. The Steelers need this win to keep up with the big boys in the conference. Pittsburgh's offense has gone flat while their defense suddenly couldn't stop a tumbleweed. As the rest of us wonder who the hell Justin Jackson is, the mercenary squad known as the Chargers have taken the lead. This is absolutely fucking embarrassing. I was hoping for a nice easy game with no drama and a realization that I may be wrong, but no, they had to choke it. And yes, they did choke it. The Steelers had them by the fucking throat. They could have crushed them to bits. Yet they allowed them back in it. Look at them now. Scoring a touchdown to tie the game. Now all the defense has to do is make a stop with 4 minutes left. To no one's surprise, they can't accomplish this goal. Slowly chipping away at the field, the Steeler faithful panics at what could be their fate. Their overconfidence would be shattered. Pants shitting increases 20-fold as they reach field goal range. It will take a miracle for this to continue.
Yes, they still suck! Fuck you, Spanos, you kickers! Ah! God damn it, Hayden, I thought you were one of the good guys! Now they can kick it, gang!
That was so goddamn obvious, it's like they're deliberately trying to cheese the system. Just take them to the goal line at this rate, good God. And of course, they make it. I'm more amazed at Artie Burns. The dude was so offsides he missed the kick. You can't cover a geriatric tight end yet blaze past the holder? God, you fucking suck. All I wanted to do was just laugh at the Chargers and Spanos for roughly the 73rd time, but nope, you guys had to fuck it all up. The Steelers had a statement win in the palm of their hands and they let it slip away. I know everyone's going to blame the refs or the long snapper or the Patriots or the wind blowing in from the river, but here's reality. Great teams finish off their prey no matter the circumstances. A 16-point lead with the ball at half should have been game over. They fucking blew it. It's not hard to admit. At the end of the day, that uncalled false start doesn't matter. The refs didn't cause Sean Mitchell to level a guy with an easy interception. The refs didn't cause the defense to fail miserably to make any kind of stop. The refs didn't stop the Steelers' offense from making any kind of progress in the second half. The refs didn't force the Steelers to cover the best wide receiver on the other team with fucking linebackers all game. Jesus, even Shazier wouldn't have been able to cover Keenan Allen. How the hell do you expect John Bostic to? I'm not pissed that they lost, I'm pissed at the way they lost. Did you see what the Chargers did, Tomlin? It's called adjusting to your game plan. You got horribly outcoached by a second-year guy missing his best running back, defensive tackle, and middle linebacker. And you know they aren't going to learn a damn thing from this. They're just going to blame the refs for their loss and call it a day. But while you do that, not only is a first-round bye all but out of the question, guess who snuck behind you again? Baltimore. They're a half game back now. You're back in the muck, Steelers. Try thinking you're above everything some more. It's worked so well for you in the past. If they lose to Oakland next week, I'm going to break some necks. It's not like we're dealing with injuries. Oh boy, now we're starting a converted tight end at running back. Fucking wonderful. This week, on Days of Our Steelers, the Steel City looks for answers and scapegoats as a premature celebration was offsides and brought about a brutal implosion. Despite remaining control of their own destiny, these last two losses have put a dent in the team's January ambitions. Regardless, a sense of calm has remained with the organization, in the belief that the choke job against the Chargers was just a fluke. Offensive coordinator and Ben's puppet Randy Fichtner has taken some heat for neglecting the running game to such an extent. Even without Le'Veon, it has still been potent with Connor this season. Captain Fatfuck tells the critics to comb their tits about the run-to-pass ratio. Big Ben needs to pad his stats and just think of all of that juicy high-end talent to salivate at. The Steelers are not Thanos. They do not give a shit about any sort of balance. In the meantime, some have questioned whether there may be a rift between the Diva and Big Ben. Captain Fatfuck, being the great leader of men that he is, went on his radio show to state that the drama between him and D.I.V.A is overblown. The Steelers have bigger issues to deal with next week. The main one is being without James Conner. With this injury, the running back core is now incredibly thin, with a certain prodigal son being MIA. They now start a rookie who was converted from tight end in a timeshare with a guy who was mostly used during garbage time. Despite this misfortune, the Black and Gold Brigade faces the closest thing to a softball opponent in the Oakland Raiders, a team in the midst of a chaotic freefall and despotic assumption of power. At 2-10, they are one of the worst teams in the league, but there is significant danger in this trip to California. The Raiders have been the equivalent of death to the team. Pittsburgh has not won there since 1995, and Big Ben has been snake-bitten against them. The main connection, Oakland has been utterly putrid when they've beaten the Steelers. The ghosts of Andrew Walter, Bruce Gradkowski, and Terrell Pryor haunted their nightmares for years. Even with this danger, they have everything to gain with a win. The Baltimore Ravens nearly upended the Chiefs, but couldn't keep up and lost. The Houston Texans also lost. The New England Patriots losing in incredibly humiliating fashion. This play will now be uploaded to Pornhub and become trending for weeks at a time. A victory will mean a chance at a first-round bye once again. The time has come for Pittsburgh to be sharp. Or just let the Raiders push down the field with minimal resistance. It is a narrative that has replayed itself repeatedly throughout the year. The Steelers coming out flatter than a map. Perhaps they can use it to find their lost offense once again. Methinks they should simply invest in a leash if it keeps vanishing like this. The lingering fears are now starting to sink into the fans' minds. Perhaps the Steelers overlooked yet another opponent, but let's forget about that, they scored a touchdown. All is well in the Black and Gold Brigade. Even as the Raiders kick another field goal, they can't stop taking penalties. Chris Boswell has been so automatic that he malfunctions and misses another field goal. Dude, seriously, what the fuck? Even as everyone is now questioning Boswell's ability after a contract extension, the glorious high-end talent comes to save the day. They bombastically strut down the field with peacock feathers and cringeworthy Fortnite dances in hand. All is well. The fans may be able to come out of their caves again. There may be hope for a Super Bowl just yet. As halftime commences, the game is close, but the Steelers are looking to put it away. There is only one thing missing: Captain Fatfuck. He has suffered something involving his ribs and is not in the game. Thus, they rely on their second-year backup Josh Dobbs to bring them to absolutely nothing. Even as the running game is a complete joke at this point, the Black and Gold Brigade chooses to focus on the passing attack. It falls into the black hole. The Steelers are going nowhere. Despite this offensive ineptitude, the Raiders are too eager to lose the game on their own. Derek Carr turns the ball over as the Steel Curtain openly celebrates their good fortune with a team pose. As they get the ball back, the new QB gives it right back to them with an interception. Strangely enough, Captain Fatfuck is on the sidelines, but is not in the game for whatever reason. Perhaps they're still trying to get the right cleats on Ryan Switzer to care. The worst fears have been realized. The Steelers are once again playing down to their competition. Some may say that this one is due to injuries, but that doesn't explain the terrible play calling or execution. Aren't you guys just so proud? Look at this fucking defense bend. Look at them give up insatiable yardage to a team with rookie tackles, faded skill players, and the shattered dreams of what was once a quarterback. They burned 8 fucking minutes on a touchdown drive. You couldn't stop this fucking outfit? Are you shitting me? Oh, so now we see Captain Fatfuck come into the game. When everything is falling to shit so talent can bail us out again. They do. Beautiful talent as far as the eye can see. Even the defense is doing fucking nothing. They're straight up putting a boot up their asses. You're seriously trying to tell me that this team was prepared? They haven't learned a fucking thing. I don't think Oakland's going to win, but Jesus, fuck, this is horrible. By the way, can someone please explain to me how Mike Tomlin still can't manage a game clock? Jesus Christ, it's going to happen. The Steelers losing a football game to a glorified college team. Did they not realize that the Raiders weren't just going to fucking lie down and die? But wait, here comes the high-end talent.
Here I come to save the day.
It's going to mask all of their worthless failure in this game, and everyone's going to ignore the glaring issues. Just pull off the bullshit already.
Good hold.
Are you fucking kidding me? All that flash and trickery to lose like that? What the hell happened to Boswell? The Duke was fucking automatic last year and now he's treating the field like a water slide. Are you sure it wasn't just Switzer with the cleat fuck up? Fucking hell, this team is a joke. I can't honestly be shocked or surprised as most of you are. There was a part of my mind thinking that they were going to fuck this up, and by God they did. The Steelers pull this shit every goddamn year. It's hard to be angry when it's a tradition dating back to the days of Cower. Even then, the bar's lower than ever. You guys lost to the Raiders. This team has been openly punting the season since August and outright dominated in most games they've played. You were defeated by the NFL equivalent of Rutgers. A golden opportunity completely fucking squandered because the team chose to be cocky and arrogant like they always are. 12 years, Tomlin. 12 years in this league as a coach and you still don't know how to manage a fucking game clock. Why didn't you call your last time out? Why didn't you try anything different offensively? Why the fuck can't the defense cover a tight end if their lives depended on it? What are they gonna do against Gronk? Put Vance McDonald in coverage? Why the living hell was one of your best offensive weapons on the goddamn sideline while the offense was struggling?
You know, he got looked at halftime. He got treatment. He came back out. We were waiting to see if he was going to be able to come back in. He was. Probably could have come in a series or so sooner, but we were in the rhythm and flow of the game.
Okay, Tomlin, I'm going to pretend that I did not hear that because I could have sworn you just indicted yourself for utter incompetence. So please, let me clear my ears. Explain yourself, Mike.
Probably could have come in the series or so sooner, but we were in the rhythm and flow of the game.
You have got to be fucking shitting me. What the fuck kind of reasoning is that? Rhythm and flow? What goddamn flow? I saw a lot of terrible and dog shit if you could call that a flow. That offense had about as much rhythm as a Yinzer after 15 IC lights. This shit is grounds for being fired. I expect this sort of ineptitude from you, Jackson. That's how bad this looks. Look at this guy firing off every cliche in the book about fundamentals and the standard being the standard and not living in our fears because we're going to jump off this ledge into a pile of spikes. This shit all adds up. The overconfidence in your schemes, the way the players are acting, the way everyone dismissed Oakland as inferior on the team. You looked past your opponent again, didn't you? Did you learn anything from Jacksonville? How much of a cheerleader are you? At this point, you're Baghdad Bob pretending everything is fine as there's drama coming out of this organization every fucking week. How the fuck don't you know if a player has the right fucking cleats before the game? It's a lack of focus to detail, just like every other year. Now they get to potentially be in the shit with New England and New Orleans coming up. High-end talent can't bail you out forever, Mike. Just ask the other Mike from Green Bay how piggybacking off Aaron Rodgers worked out for him. You better be thankful that the Steelers don't fire coaches or else you'd be out on your ass soon. This team fucking sucks. A fucking X-ray machine? That's your fucking excuse? This week, on Days of Our Steelers, a massive pothole is hit as Pittsburgh loses in humiliating fashion to one of the worst teams in the league. When Big Ben was injured in the game against Oakland last week, there were many wondering why he was on the sidelines but not playing. According to the Steel Bullet Bureau, the answer lies in the X-ray machine. It was apparently outdated equipment, which led to an inconclusive analysis. The incompetent piece of machinery was sent to a gulag to spend its last days performing grueling physical labor. This excuse does not save the Black and Gold Brigade from the wrath of alumni, however. There is a former Steeler that has had enough. Rocky Blyer, one of the more beloved players in team history, went off on a Heinz Field rant in a Facebook video. He is tired of all the bullshit. He wants to see results from this underachieving squad. He states that Boswell should be cut for his failings, Keith Butler be fired for incompetence, and, perhaps, an end to the Tomlin era. It wouldn't be a surprise if he doesn't receive a Christmas card from them as a repercussion. Also, word of advice, prepare to be blocked by the Steelers on Twitter. Remember, real Steelers fans don't complain about their current situation. Even as the Steelers have squandered opportunity after opportunity these past few weeks, Captain Fatfucker shows us all there is no panic in the locker room. This is stated as there are tryouts for the kicking position after Boswell's sudden case of missing uprights. Some of the people brought in to try out are Kai Forbath and Matt McCrane. Obviously household names to keep an eye on. Despite this competition, no change is made. Although as a result, they bring in former kicker Sean Sweezum to reinvigorate Boswell and restore his confidence. This week's contest is now must-win for the Black and Gold Brigade. Not only is the division lead at stake, they face a hated rival that has usually bested them, New England. The salt from last year's defeat still lingers in the mouths of every fan throughout the world. A victory grabbed from the Steelers at the last moment thanks to nobody knowing what a catch is. To add more salt to the wound, Jesse James's overturned reception would be considered as a catch under the new rules. The fake spike, we will not mention that failure, discussing it as a criminal offense in Allegheny County. New preparations are being made. The Steelers have brought in an expert Patriot whisperer to aid them, a former linebackers coach for the New York Giants who have experience in beating New England. This is Pittsburgh's version of the Super Bowl. Everything comes down to this game for them. The Steelers begin by making quick work of the Patriots' weakened defense and march down the field for an efficient touchdown. So far, not a bad start, but the Patriots' offense will be ruthless in their assault. Just like this long reception touchdown exposing a blitz package. This has always been New England's formula. Relentlessly pick apart every weakness in your defensive schemes. Tom Brady has made a living feasting on soft zone defenses in the NFL. Although fate seemed inevitable at this point, the New England Patriots weren't like their usual selves. They were inefficient. They were taking a lot of offensive penalties. Okay, what's the catch? Are they trying to get us to put our guard down or something? No need. The Steelers go down the field on their suspect defense again and score another touchdown. After this stroke of fortune for the Black and Gold Brigade, the whole affair transforms into a total shitfest. Both teams playing incredibly sloppy football that is unlike previous matchups. It's a very strange sight. Tom Brady moving around the pocket like a rickety old jalopy, and Rob Gronkowski turning into the geriatric Hulk with joint pain. These are not the Patriots of old. It's almost as if the Steelers may have a chance this time. You seriously believe that? The Steelers winning against New England? Come on, we all know some bullshit is going to happen and they escape with a W. It happens every time. Just wait until the second half. The Patriots are going to put this away. For now, it's more of the same. New England failing to gain any traction on offense with drops and poor blocking aplenty. Meanwhile, the Steelers are pushing down the field. They can get more insurance against their foe, and piss it away and force them to rely on Boswell.
Fucking hell, Boswell! Your job is to kick a fucking ball through the goddamn upright! How are you pissing your...
The Patriots respond quickly to this botched field goal with a successful one of their own. Pittsburgh looks to return the favor, but Captain Fatfuck serves up another tasty treat for their defense. We have seen this script before. New England slowly chipping away at the defense and turning this into an uncomfortable situation. Even 3 points here would...
Did Tom Brady just throw that pass? In what sense was it a good idea for him to just chuck the ball out there like that? Can they? No, I can't be foolish. We already know the final result.
The Black and Gold Brigade proceeds to not be pretty on the next drive, but they do just enough to keep the ball moving and burn precious clock for the pretty boy from Boston. Who knew that a weak defense that can't stop the run is getting smoked by Jalen Samuels? I bet that Le'Veon would not like this game on Instagram like last week's affair. Despite the push, they must rely on the new whipping boy of the Steelers, Chris Boswell.
Did Chris Boswell just make a field goal? Do my eyes deceive me? Did a kick from Boswell somehow go through the uprights? Do I dare believe? Or will they break my heart again?
Wait, hold on. Yes, they will, because this is New England and they'll pull a victory out of their ass like last year. Just you watch. They'll keep missing passes.
Give them time. And again.
I feel like I'm dreaming.
First down yardage at the 6. Here's Brady down the middle. And it's knocked down. Incomplete.
Oh my God. They beat New England. They beat New England. They beat the Patriots. Holy shit, they did it. They beat New England. They beat New England. They did it. They fucking beat New England. They did it. They did it. They beat New England. Yeah! Oh my God, I did it. They beat fucking New England. They took out the fucking Patriots. Yeah!
It's finally happened. The Steelers defeated New England. The Black and Gold Brigade still control their own destiny. Despite this cathartic victory, it states more about the Patriots than it does about Pittsburgh. New England is significantly weaker than in seasons past. They cannot play on the road. Their offensive line, in particular, sloppy and undisciplined. The dragon may be slain, but there are far steeper mountains to climb. There are many questions that still need to be answered about the Black and Gold Brigade. They have staved off irrelevance for now, but they will face a greater challenge in New Orleans next week. This will be the true test. Even though the season is incomplete, at least for a moment, the Inzer faithful can hold their heads high again. They have finally beaten New England. Like sweet coleslaw flowing off a Permani sandwich, so are the days of our Steelers. This week, on Days of Our Steelers, an exorcism of demons leads to their greatest test yet. Despite the win against their old foe in New England, the Black and Gold Brigade has no time to celebrate. There are greater battles to fight in the name of Lombardi. An NFL insider stated on a public forum that Captain Fatfuck suffered cracked ribs in the defeat against Oakland. As a great leader of men, he dismisses these allegations as fake news. A man of Ian Rappaport's stature is to be questioned, regardless of sources feeding him this information. Roethlisberger also came in the line of fire of one of his opponents. Cameron Jordan went on a relentless trolling brigade leading up to the game against the Saints. He states that Captain Fatfuck is neither a top 5 QB in his generation nor a Hall of Famer, even twisting the knife saying that Eli Manning is a better quarterback. Seriously? Eli? Come on, man, now you're just fucking with us. We merely await Ben throwing for 400 yards as a result of provoking the Hornets' nest. Due to the critical nature of this next football game, we have sent a corresponding Yinzer live to the scene of the action. Let's give him a few words.
Let's just put it this way. This is of the utmost importance for the Steelers. Ravens won. Titans won. You can't trust the derp. Who knows if the Colts are going to win or not. But let's just put it this way. There's only one word that the Steelers need to do today. And you know what that word is? Win. It's going to be a goddamn battle.
For the record, yes, Indianapolis also succeeded in coming back against the Derp. As all three teams the Steelers are competing with for the postseason won, this game has now become must win. If they cannot succeed, there may not be another chance for them to. Pittsburgh is entering hell, a raucous environment where the only sounds are fans hungry for the blood of their enemies. New Orleans seeks home field advantage in the NFC with this game. With Yinzer Vision on hand to witness the carnage, the battles will be fierce and tightly contested. This requires less cheesy deep voice and more of a serious tone. This matchup of talents begins in fury with deep shots and blows traded alike. Thank Sean Davis for not headhunting his own interception and giving life to the team. As Boswell proceeds to make another field goal, the battle continues with some of the most heinous fucking ref ball I've ever seen. How in God's name is that pass interference? And on a 4th and 1? You trying to make the Yinzers justified in their bitching? I think we can call that ref ball. My point exactly. Now New Orleans can just waltz into the end zone. They don't need any more help. The Steelers are already beating themselves with regularity. Despite Boswell making another field goal, the Saints once again march in for another 7 points. The Black and Gold Brigade needs to buckle down immediately. They answer the call. The Steelers may be masters at playing down to their competition, but they also have the uncanny ability of playing up to great challenges as well. It's one of the more frustrating aspects of this team over the past 15 years. As Captain Fatfuck needs to make Cam Jordan eat shit, he strikes daggers to AB and Juju. The Saints' Achilles heel is exposed. They cannot stop the Steelers' high-end passing attack. Eli Apple is still as shit as he was with the Giants. A touchdown is scored, and a 2-point conversion brings this game back to a deadlock. Even as the Saints storm back for a field goal before halftime, there is hope in Yinzerland.
Yeah, we'll update 17-14 Saints. I mean, that's how I figured exactly what it would be. Steelers are really close, very tight game, a lot of competition. I mean, I'm nervous as hell. Not gonna lie, the inner Yinzer in me is not doing too hot, but I mean, it's a great game of football. Well, except for the horrible pass interference. Thanks, ref ball.
The Steelers can do this. They are playing with a fire and heart worthy of champions. This thinking is halted as the Bayou Fever storms throughout Bourbon Street with hand grenades and hurricanes in hand. They shred the defense with efficiency. The only way to keep up with this kind of outfit is through high-octane aggressiveness. Think of an 80-yard drive with no signs of stopping this runaway train. Even the defense is making Drew Brees' life a living hell. The Steelers can smell their fear. Captain Fatfuck is throwing dimes as Pittsburgh takes the lead, not to mention another 3 and out. The Black and Gold Brigade is doing the unthinkable, marching the Saints out of their own building. Literally nothing they do can stop them.
It's Ridley. Nowhere.
Pittsburgh does that well enough on their own. A chance to solidify the lead and you give the ball to fucking Ridley. What sense does that make? Now New Orleans can get back into this shit.
This is 50 on the nose.
Holy shit, the special teams did a thing.
Yes! That's it! That's fucking it, baby! Let's go!
Every Yinzer and fleur-de-lis alike is clenching their anuses at what could be their team's fate. As New Orleans finally slows down the offensive train, they punt the ball back.
NFC Championship game. Oh, they run the fake! The fake is short!
Or they trust the fullback to get 5 yards. And decided to imitate the Titans. I agree with the idea of a fake, I just didn't like the execution. Why not throw out your best weapons when they haven't been able to stop them? Now the Saints have the pigskin in prime territory. The defense does its job to force a 4th down. Do it, Steelers. Make this Yinzer heart kindle with flame. And of course, the Steelers get in their own way yet again. Despite New Orleans' effort to hand the game away, the Steel Curtain bent to give up a fucking 3rd and 20. And then gave up a touchdown to relinquish the hard-earned lead.
Okay, here's the idea. You still have minute 25 left. No timeouts, but you have 3. If you still can do the offense like they can do it, I think they have I don't know if it'll win, but
this drive could be the difference between the postseason and a bitter end. 85 seconds to fulfill their destiny or face agony.
4th and 15. Here I come to save the day.
You know, AB may be a metastasizing cancer growing by the day, but holy shit can he catch a football. High-end talent is going to be the key for this win. The Steelers will push onward towards their glorious fate. Dagger to the heart. Their reliance on talent backfired horrifically. God save the Yinzers. A great battle and teasing of a stunning victory only brought about horrible, agonizing pain. The Steelers had failed in one of the most brutal ways imaginable. By their own doing. The Saints secure the number 1 seed in the NFC as they have another statement win to their season. As for Pittsburgh, lamentation. The Black and Gold Brigade has failed in their quest for victory. It's nothing against the team. They played with heart, hunger, and intensity. The Steelers played a solid game. Unfortunately, solid isn't good enough in the Superdome. It required perfection. They weren't. As they have shot themselves repeatedly, Pittsburgh now stares death in the face. They no longer control their own destiny. Baltimore now holds serve in the AFC North, and the Colts and Titans fight each other for the 6th seed. Some may argue that ref ball was the major factor in this loss, but the team still had plenty of chances to put this game away. They were unsuccessful in their efforts by means of questionable play calling and New Orleans' own abilities. The better team won this game. There should be no shame, but it's a potential death blow to the season. Do you know what would have eased the sting of this loss? Not losing to the fucking Raiders. Or pissing away countless opportunities against the Broncos. Or blowing a 16-point lead against a Chargers team dead to rights. Any of those reversed and you wouldn't have to rely on pulling off the near impossible. This season is Rosie Nick celebrating a first down. When they aren't anywhere near it. The Steelers have no one to blame but themselves for this predicament. As for Week 17, the Yinzer faithful must sleep with an enemy to slay a greater one. They must become Browns fans. Cleveland is, ironically, the only hope for a Steeler entry into the great grind of January. That's also not considering their opponent in the Bengals. They may be beaten into the mud, but as Oakland can attest, you can never take any team lightly. Especially with this much on the line. As the fears of the Three Rivers meet in hell, so are the days of our Steelers.
Ball comes out. Smith-Schuster crossed it up.
This week, on Days of Our Steelers, a devastating loss leaves the team on the outside looking in for the first time this season. After his fumble against the Saints, Juju Smith-Schuster did something many Steelers haven't done this year. Took responsibility for his actions. He personally apologized for the fumble, even if it wasn't the main reason they lost, and vowed for it to never happen again. It's honestly a breath of fresh air. Somebody should quash it as it doesn't involve drama. The same can't be said for defensive coordinator Keith Butler, whose performance has been highly suspect. He stated that he's worried about a certain target who will garner a lot of attention in the next game. Tyler Eifert. For the record, Tyler Eifert has a broken ankle and cannot physically run at this time. Sadly, he's probably right. They couldn't cover a geriatric in Antonio Gates, so they'll need at least 3 linebackers on him at all times. This next game is against a Bungles team injured to hell and back, but the Black and Gold Brigade are suffering some as well. First, the much-maligned kicker Chris Boswell banished to IR for reasons of discomfort. They must now rely on a kicker that hasn't kicked a field goal longer than 45 yards at the NFL level. Including injuries to Vince Williams and Sean Davis, the next one is a big blow to their ambitions. The D.I.V.A. He hadn't practiced all week due to knee issues and will be unable to play in this crucial game. Wait, AB had a knee injury? This doesn't make sense. Despite the blows to team depth, the Steelers come out with purpose and once again embarrassingly play down to their competition. Are you fucking kidding me with this shit? You know damn well you have to win to stay alive in the playoff hunt, yet this is the most uninspired I've seen this team all year. Are you guys too busy openly cheering on the Browns to give a fuck? Apparently you are, as Captain Fatfuck threw another pick and gave the Bungles the lead on a pick 6. How wonderful. You're losing to a team you were favored by 15 to beat. It's quite obvious these guys had checked out. They had to be deflated after the loss to New Orleans. It's the only explanation I've got. But everything's okay. They kicked a fucking field goal before halftime. What great progress against a team that's fucking dead. At this rate, it doesn't matter if they win. They don't deserve the postseason with such an uninspired performance. This was their chance to prove something to me. And they sure as hell didn't. This can't be all related to the D.I.V.A. In no way does the offense look this damn flat against a team with a defense close to an SEC outfit. I kind of feel they were too busy worrying about games other than their own. Doesn't matter in the long run as the Black and Gold Brigade did the bare minimum to win thanks to their new kicker Matt McCrane having a pretty solid day. Well done, boys! You beat the Bungles! A team that would probably be beaten by Alabama handily with how battered they are. I should bring you guys home and let you fuck my sister. Now they must sit and wait for Cleveland to do their part. The scene in Pittsburgh is something out of the Twilight Zone. Nobody's left the stadium. Steelers fans cheering for the Browns. The team readying AFC North shirts for their triumphant victory. Cleveland is marching down the field. By God, it's destiny.
A 4th and 10. And here they come. Mayfield's pass. It's intercepted by Mosley.
To declare the season over, Do you hear that? That's the sound of a collapse in slow motion. I knew this team had severe flaws, but never in my wildest dreams did I think they would miss the playoffs. Honestly, it's completely fucking deserved. The way the Steelers went about this season was nauseating at best and malignant at its worst. Days of our Steelers? Does that sound like a healthy organization to you? The fact that I got fresh material every fucking week for this goddamn show is a testament to the year. Self-inflicted ineptitude. That knee injury AB had? Turns out he was bitching up a storm and getting into arguments with Ben. Once again skipping practices and being such a cancer that he was benched from the game. Yep, that's it. It's quite obvious that they didn't learn from last year's embarrassing loss in the playoffs, so it's time for me to go harder. If you'll excuse me, I need to grind my axe. Captain Fatfuck, the glorious leader of men. If you couldn't tell, I despise this man. It's a shame that a quarterback of that ability is such an unlikable piece of shit that the world wants nothing more than to see him fail. This is far from an old grudge or vendetta about his past for one simple reason. He hasn't changed one fucking bit. He's still the petty, self-serving asswipe that he was when he was one of the more infamous people in the North Hills bar scene. Look at the way he criticizes others publicly for shit that's partially his own goddamn fault, failing to take any sort of responsibility for his actions. It's the thing that I can't stand about him, the one thing that grinds me to my very core. It's always about you. It's the reason why the offensive coordinator got replaced with your puppet. It's why the Steelers do nothing but throw the goddamn ball. It's why nobody will admit the reality that Captain Fatfuck is becoming more of a liability to the team with his antics and boneheaded turnovers. You're not a goddamn leader. Get the fuck out of here with that bullshit. Now we get to deal with more limbo as you play Brett Favre and bitch about rookies they may draft. I'd wish something bad would happen, but I won't. The CTE will take you down by the time you're 60. Let me share with you a fun fact about Le'Veon Bell. When he was selected by the Steelers, Bell was considered to be a character pick. Somebody really fucked up with that assessment. In what way is Bell showing character? All of those cringe-inducing rap tracks? No showing practice before a playoff game? Liking Steelers losses on Instagram? Whining like a little bitch because he was going to make more than most of us will make in our entire lives? Way to piss away $14.5 million, Le'Veon. I sincerely, in my heart of hearts, hope this stunt you pulled blows up in your face spectacularly. Who's going to want a dispassionate fuck who cares more for jet skis in Miami and slapping asses at strip clubs than the team he plays for? You're a petulant fucking child. You're a goddamn headache that had the stats you had because you were behind one of the best O-lines in football. And then you got an insatiable ego and decided to bitch out because of a non-existent market for your services. Don't worry, Bell. Somebody's going to pay you for the brand. And they're going to immediately regret it. AB. The diva needs his feathers clipped and fast. The man may be an incredible talent, but the only thing growing besides his stat line are the malignant traits of his personality. We saw it in week 2 when you were flipping out on Ben's puppet for not getting you the ball enough. We saw it when you threatened to break a reporter's jaw for not sucking your dick in an article. We saw it when you no-showed practice and told someone sarcastically to trade you. I physically cannot cheer for this guy. I know the catches are amazing, but I keep thinking back to when he chucked furniture out of a 14th floor balcony and another bitch fit. Always pouting, always whining to get the ball. That shit you pulled this past weekend, that's just icing on the cake. This fucker is so egotistical that Narcissus is shaking his head in disgust. This man has become toxic and the Steelers have chosen to swim in it. You want a Madden curse? Here it is. Endless stats, but nothing that really matters. Whining can't get you rings. Divas rarely win them, and AB is running straight towards it. Thanks for vindicating my claims. For a year and a half. I swear to the holiest of deities, if you fuckers corrupt Juju and turn him into an abominable monster, I will hunt every one of you down and kill you in your sleep. I'm tired of talking about Mike Tomlin. It's the same goddamn shit every fucking year with this guy. Horrible clock management, the painfully cliched press conferences, the lack of controlling the insatiable egos on the team, his pathetic play call challenges, the inability to hold people accountable for their actions, hideously playing down to vastly inferior competition on nearly every fucking occasion. Once again, when it happens repeatedly, it's not a fluke, that's what we call a trend. Players and coordinators keep changing. What hasn't? The head coach. I used to think the calls for his head were ridiculous, but this season proved how incompetent he truly is. Look at the excuses he brought up. A fucking x-ray machine? That's your excuse for leaving one of your best weapons on the sideline? No big deal, they just need to raid Le'Veon's locker. It's therapeutic, and nothing will be done because that's how most fucking locker rooms act. Keep pretending you have the high road and ignore the drama. It's really doing this team some good. This is a goddamn circus and Mike is the ringmaster. The standard is the standard, you know. The time has come for heads to roll and it needs to start with Tomlin. But that's just a pipe dream. After all, Joey Porter is still here. Fichtner, I'm not going to waste my time. That dude's a yes man for Big Ben.
Keith Butler is the reason why I'm starting to believe loyalty is a terrible trait to have in an organization. So many goddamn years marinating, and all this guy knows are fucking linebackers. Hell, he has them covering the best wideouts on the other team. He can't design schemes. He can't fit to the D's strengths. He thinks players who can't physically run are a threat to the defense. This dude is taking the piss. He's way over his goddamn head. Makes sense how he was only a linebackers coach for every year except one before the Steelers. Wasn't he supposed to be different than LeBeau? All I'm seeing is a watered-down imitation of that defense. Just no. Danny Smith is fucking useless. How many times are the Steelers going to be penalized on opening kickoffs? Wait, hold on. The main strategy to block field goals is to keep going offsides on them. Whenever I look at the Steelers and everything leaking out of the locker room, what I see is an organization infested with cancer. And you know what you do when you find cancer. You cut it out. For far too long, they have let cancer become malignant and metastasize throughout its entire mass. It finally caught up to them this year. From going 7-2-1 and a 97% chance at the playoffs to completely missing them is total incompetence. With this level of talent on the roster, two of the best receivers in the game, the best offensive line in football, a defensive line full of playmakers, and minimal injuries, and you can't even sniff the postseason, that's catastrophic failure. You just can't keep kicking the can down the road with this kind of team. The way things have been done haven't fucking worked. This extreme situation requires extreme measures. Wholesale purge. Any sort of tumor in this organization needs to go, and now. Tomlin, Fietner, Butler, Danny Smith, Joey Porter, Bud Dupree, fucking Bintz, Le'Veon, the cancer known as AB, they all needed to fuck off yesterday. Even Ben needs to be considered for removal. Do you really want that kind of baggage with an aging body? Some healthy tissue is removed so they make sure the cancer is gone. The shit that's being pulled can no longer fucking fly. There's this one word that's paramount. Accountability. It's critical in every other business, and let's face it, the Steelers are a business. A failing one. Even if you think I'm crazy for this, there's no need to worry. Nothing will change. The Steelers will keep course with the same shit next year and the year after that. Artie II will bring in some old faces from the 70s with some thinly veiled speech about family and the Steeler way. Pittsburgh doesn't fire coaches. They retire or have their contracts conveniently expire. After all, they beat New England. That's a sign things are on the up and up. There's only one quote that summarizes this team.
Remember, the saddest thing in life is wasted talent. You could have all the talent in the world, but if you don't do the right thing, then nothing happens. But when you do right, guess what? Good things happen.
At the end of the day, that's all this team is. A waste. And it will continue in perpetuity at this rate. Nothing has shown me that they want to change. With the actions shown, I see nothing but arrogance and the inability to even take a shred of criticism. What they can't block is that they have no one to blame but themselves for the predicament they're in. They're becoming more and more of a joke as time passes. And it's going to continue because of stubbornness. See you next year. What the hell do you mean we're not done? What the fuck?! Can someone please explain to me why the hell I'm doing one of these episodes when a game hasn't been played in over a month? The players get to rest, why can't the drama? God damn it, I'm gonna look like such a view whore. Tonight, on a very special episode of Days of Our Steelers, a silly season of antics and disappointment leads to a barrage of accusations and finger-pointing. When we previously left off, the D.I.V.A was under an intense microscope as a supposed knee injury was revealed to be something far more sinister. AB walked out of practice after an apparent argument and didn't return until game day. He had abandoned the team. Despite this, AB still felt entitled to play in that Sunday's game against the Bungles. Even as Brown refused to take a coach-mandated MRI, the D.I.V.A came in expecting nothing to occur. He was wrong. Mike Tomlin, angered at his wide receiver's defiance, benched him for his transgressions. If he were to play, it may have caused a mutiny within the locker room, so we're told. It was with this experience boost that the D.I.V.A would evolve into the cancer. To complete his transition, he left the Week 17 game at halftime. It's at this point where months of pent-up emotions and drama finally boiled over and came to a head. A season which some players in the organization likened the team to the Kardashians gave us enough material for ibuprofen to be completely ineffective. Even when the Black and Gold Brigade was out of the playoffs, they were still the center of attention. It turned into an affair of he said, she said shit-slinging that would fit in a high school cafeteria. AB's side of the story paints Captain Fatfuck as a big meanie McPoopy Pants. He states that the leader of men had constantly criticized and berated Antonio in practice and meetings, the cutting blow being at that faithful practice. Ben wanted AB off the field for running the wrong route yet again. Thus, the D.I.V.A exploded and walked out. If Ben were to be believed, he wasn't around for Mount Diva's eruption.
Part of me feels that pieces of both stories are correct in some way. Freed from the shackles of the team, the Cancer continued his relentless trek of burning the countless bridges of Pittsburgh. I would say call him, but he hasn't returned any messages from his teammates Tomlin or even Art Rooney II. Hell, AB had his agent call Mike Tomlin to say he was going to play against the Bengals. That practice was the final straw for the Cancer. He firmly believes that standards have been slipping throughout the organization, despite him being the one that openly walked out on the Steelers to begin with. With the Black and Gold Brigade attempting to hold him accountable for once, Antonio Brown now begins to flirt with his newest public fling, the San Francisco 49ers. Like the Oregon Trail, AB desires to go west with him, liking photoshops of him in a Niners uniform and cohorting with enemies like George Kittle and Jerry Rice. In fact, the latter states that the Cancer is absolutely dying to be playing in Santa Clara next season. AB allegedly asked for a trade just after the season to further his West Coast agenda, despite Mike Tomlin stating that no request was ever made. The true damning testament of Brown comes digitally. He unfollowed the Steelers on Twitter and Instagram. In millennial terms, these moves have massive implications. Even with his cryptic and rather hypocritical tweets as of late, this is important to note. His new advisors are the likes of Chad Johnson and James Harrison. Harrison, a known critic of Mike Tomlin's coaching, went back to the well to blame him for playing down to the locker room. We're still waiting on that epic interview with AB teased during Tomlin's press conference. Regardless, it's time for the Cancer to go back on the attack. Like him burning defensive backs on deep routes, he burned his supposed critics for his recent behavior. Ryan Clark stated that he knew back when he was a young player that a monster would eventually be unleashed. AB lashes back and calls him an Uncle Tom, because criticizing his character makes you the equivalent of a race traitor. His former offensive coordinator Bruce Arians states more of the same. This wasn't the same AB he had coached. The man had changed. Yes, he did, Bruce. He is now criticizing you publicly on Twitter as well. His former teammate Emmanuel Sanders came to his defense as digital jabs and 280 character blows flung in one of the more embarrassing internet slap fights of our times. In a testament to awful timing, AB participated in a vanity singing show called The Masked Singer. He was the first contestant eliminated. This calls for a reward, purchasing a $2,000 goat ring. At this rate, it may be the only custom ring he will earn. It's with all of this that Art Rooney II made a rather damning statement. He will find it hard to envision AB returning to the team next season. Antonio Brown may have played his final snap with the Black and Gold Brigade. As much as it would suck to lose his talent, they have to do it. The man isn't going to change, and I fear it's only going to get worse as time passes and his skills fade. It will be hard to do since his contract situation is rather rough, but remember, the Cancer has to be cleared. Even as you gave AB his final paycheck, they can't let this stand. It will be a pipe dream, though. The Steelers stuck to their traditions by doing next to nothing about the drama-laden mess of a season they had. There were inklings of warnings for next year, but only a few token sacrifices were made. The first being Joey Porter, whom should have been axed after his incident with a bouncer at a Southside bar a few years ago. Even then, he wasn't fired. His contract conveniently expired. Even as some linebackers defend him, I don't know why he was even brought in to begin with. The second casualty, running backs coach James Saxon? Why did they let go of him? Was it his fault that he lost his best weapon and they barely ran the ball? I thought he did an alright job, but I guess they wanted a different look as his contract also expired. The final loss being offensive line coach Mike Munchak. He leaves for a similar offensive line coach in Denver after his contract expired as well. This one isn't drama-related. His daughter and grandchild live in the region and he wanted to spend more time with them. It sucks, but I understand why he did it. Otherwise, no changes. Danny Smith and Keith Butler are still around because why not? Artie II states that it's nonsense to call the Steelers out of control, even though warning signs have been glaring for the past 3 or 4 seasons. The Black and Gold Brigade have reached a crossroads in their franchise. A major decision must be made involving the future of Antonio Brown. Do they trade him and salvage what they can, potentially draining performance on the field? Or do they keep him and risk creating a massive chasm in their locker room? Sure, there are some Steelers stating they want him back in the fold, but I fear there are many that don't. Especially with the stunts he's pulled over the year. Either way, it's a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. The next few months will be critical to the future of the franchise. Like AB pining for the Golden Gate Bridge, so are the days of our Steelers. Now can you please stop with this shit? Tonight, on Where's My Liquor? The Antonio Brown saga reaches its climax as he continues his narcissistic assault on the Black and Gold Brigade. In his hacking and slashing of both his reputation and goodwill towards the city of Pittsburgh, the Cancer was caught up in yet another embarrassing dilemma. One of his exes came over to his house to drop off his child. This is when the woman demanded money to pay for her hair appointment as well. He had refused, but AB's former fling was persistent and refused to let him close the door. This had set off Antonio. He treated her like an opposing cornerback, setting up in a blocking stance and pancaking her onto the ground. When she called police to his house, she refused to complete a victim affidavit, so charges were not filed against the Cancer. No word on if AB's ego was bruised in the process. Despite yet another black eye to his reputation, AB's lawyer believes that there is a witch hunt going on. He has openly accused the media of trying to actively defame Brown and his sterling character. Don't worry, sir, he's doing a good enough job of that by himself. This was confirmed as he no-showed a court hearing for a previous speeding incident on McNightmare Road several months earlier. More than likely giving zero fucks about it, the Cancer was found guilty of reckless driving. This is when a boiling point was reached. Weeks of allegations and inquiries have given him no choice. He openly requested a trade by means of Twitter. He feels he has been used as a scapegoat by the fans and the team for far too long. The Steel City is going to miss him when he's burning their awful secondary for long touchdowns. And perhaps bitching on the sidelines for not getting the ball enough. The real ire of the fans' wrath, according to him, should be on Captain Fatfuck. He has an owner's mentality. He is far above any sort of criticism in the organization. If someone dares to call him out on the truth, quote, "they meal tickets gone." Proper grammar need not apply to such an accusation. Regardless of high tensions, he agrees to meet with the increasingly spineless Art Rooney II in a private meeting. He listens to AB's more than likely baseless accusations, and both come to the agreement that they need to go their separate ways. Despite being dunked on repeatedly by the whiteout, it's the best option for all parties involved. It's too bad there's still the issue of most of AB's salary this year being converted into a signing bonus. This was done in order to secure the money needed to franchise Le'Veon Bell. Another move backfiring horrifically. Speaking of the lost prodigal's son, a final decision on his future has been made. Despite potentially flirting with the transition tag and prolonging this frustrating affair, the Steelers have chosen to cut their losses. They will neither franchise nor transition tag Le'Veon. The Bell saga is officially over. All the squabbling and posturing was merely for a lost season for both player and team. Le'Veon gets his wish and celebrates in a likable manner, by quoting Dr. Martin Luther King. May the team that signs him be warned about giving him the guaranteed money he desires. Smells like a future New York Jet to me. Good fucking riddance. In terms of the AB-Ben Civil War, the team, like most of us would, has chosen to back Captain Fatfuck. Kevin Colbert has praised Ben as a great leader of men, a dynamic paragon of positive values. He has no issues with him having a segment on sports radio to potentially air his grievances. The reality is he's won championships in a previous football age. If these young ruffians had any brains, they'd listen to his statements. The man has 52 kids to take care of every week. Which has me wondering, how many women was this guy with when he was younger? I know he had a reputation back then, but 52? Lame jokes aside, Antonio Brown needs to evolve into his final form. His pulpit, the self-satisfying grounds of Instagram. It may be a pivot for more guaranteed money. It may be him refusing to answer Big Ben's calls. It's time to introduce his new identity to the world. Mr. Big Chest.
Dad, go.
What the hell kind of nickname is that? I can't tell if that's an uninspired kids show villain or a wrestler opening a house show in Wyoming. Let's watch this out with Le'Veon's newest rap album.
No, we not breaking no rules. I got a stomach, you fools. I'm working, don't need no tools. They wanna do what they do.
I regret that decision. Just like most of us watching the Cancer bash the Steelers organization for roughly the 64th time this offseason on a platform with LeBron James, who knows a thing or two about ripping a city's heart out with a move. The Cancer takes no blame for how things have gone between him and the organization. He even boasts that he doesn't have an ego! That is some fucking bullshit!
Mike, I want to congratulate you on a great career for being number one for so long. I hope this message doesn't put you to sleep like Sweeney did. But no, for real, you're the sports pope. Congratulate your success on your app. I hear subscribers is booming.
The Black and Gold Brigade has had enough of the situation. They want to get a move done as soon as possible. The inevitable is at our doorstep. The teams put in their final bids, such as the Raiders, Redskins, Titans, and Broncos. The Buffalo Bills were very close to having a deal done, until the Cancer called it fake news and would refuse to go there. Threatened with the realistic possibility of going AWOL instead of reporting to football Siberia, the trade itself was sent to the gulag. At the end of the day, the final team standing is the Oakland Raiders. Once again learning nothing from their previous exploits with high-profile acquisitions, they feel that Antonio is going to be a big piece to their move to Las Vegas next year. So they acquire him for a laughable sum, a 3rd and a 5th round pick. It may be significantly below market value, but then you remember the Mr. Big Chest, deliberately committed self-sabotage and destroyed his appeal to other teams. Demanding a new contract doesn't exactly endear yourself to the league. The fact that the Steelers chose to swallow over $21 million in dead cap, yet not even get a 2nd round pick for a Pro Bowl caliber wideout is a damning statement. The sad truth of the matter is, I don't even care about the awful return. Cutting cancer from an organization is never easy, and the Steelers just proved it. The cost of this transaction being the Pittsburgh Steelers revealing themselves to be spineless. The Black and Gold Brigade merely capitulated to ego and petulance. They let Antonio Brown pick and choose where he wanted to go by his actions. They refused to nip potential issues in the bud and instead let them grow and fester. AB is just the latest example. Rewarding his evolution into a completely unlikable cancer, the Oakland Raiders suddenly developed a windfall of money and rewarded Antonio Brown's temper tantrum. It's a payment near equal to his ego. A $20 million pay raise. Over $30 million guaranteed. So you're telling me the Raiders will cry poor and not pay a generational defensive talent in Khalil Mack, yet open several vaults for a malcontent on the wrong side of 30? Remember the last time a team tried placating AB? We got this situation. Also, didn't the Raiders try this buy-low stunt before with Randy Moss? I'm just waiting for the moment where they trade him to the Patriots a few years down the road at this point. Remember what Larry Fitzgerald warned Brown about. The grass isn't always greener on the other side. Rambling aside, thus hypothetically ends one of the more frustrating eras of Steeler history. A time where they boasted incredible talents never seen before, only to let their own arrogance consume their ambitions whole. A group that should have at least competed in a Super Bowl got nowhere near it. They only have themselves to blame. You could say the Black and Gold Brigade has hit rock bottom, but there is much further to fall down this pit. Unless they can bolster the defense quickly, the Pittsburgh Steelers may be in for some very lean years ahead. Men like Le'Veon and AB are merely symptoms of a greater issue at hand. No, this more than likely goes to the very top of the food chain. And until Art Rooney II realizes that the old ways will not work in this new age of football, this fate will keep repeating itself. They may have cut out some of the cancer, but many of those elements still remain. I fear for the future. I lack the confidence that this organization will change. The Steelers are far too eager to embrace the smell of their own shit, and the stubborn mule fails to realize his own demise until it's far too late. As the rest of the football world dances to this team's self-destruction, so are the days of our Steelers.
He missed it.
Tonight, on the season finale of Days of Our Steelers, loose ends and conclusions are resolved after months of perpetual turmoil. Our scene begins with a former running back for the team accusing Big Ben of openly sabotaging the Black and Gold Brigade, deliberately fumbling a ball during garbage time of a game they were winning. Despite wondering why they just wouldn't take a knee, let's take a look at the play itself. From what it appears to me, it seems that Ben just didn't realize or forgot he had a fullback in the backfield. If you watch the Steelers closely, they rarely use I formation and elect to go for single back or shotgun sets. It doesn't seem intentional at all. In fact, another major point of contention he's faced is in his weekly radio show. It led to a lot of controversy after the Broncos game and is just a bad look on a team rife with drama. Roethlisberger chose a path of nobility and light. He is no longer willing to continue the program. In this situation, it's for the best and his decision is respected. As for his contract, Pittsburgh is doing everything in their power to keep the leader of men around for the remainder of his career. An extension was long since planned for the team, and they got it done before their self-imposed deadline of the draft. The final cost being a 2-year extension worth over $30 million per season and over $67 million guaranteed. Please kill me. Captain Fatfuck, however, will not die. He only grows stronger as the media tries to assault him. This includes another former running back in Rashard Mendenhall, known for his endless juking and extremely suspect ball control. Despite his uncertain hands, he is sure of Ben's true character. He is a racist. He was so certain of this conclusion that he redacted it several hours later. With such elite backpedaling, he should be signed as a cornerback to replace Artie Burns. Antonio Brown, however, continued to make waves outside of the organization. As a true lover of himself, he proceeded to pick another fight with a wide receiver. This time it was his former wingman in Juju Smith-Schuster. He mocked him for his costly fumble against New Orleans, despite the real person he should be bitching at is Stephon Ridley. In an attempt to counter Juju's defense of his character, AB had an ace up his sleeve, leaking private messages from him on Instagram. Juju asking for advice and praising Antonio's abilities on the field. What a shocking display of humility. Your problem now, Oakland. Le'Veon Bell might be having further problems as well. After his lengthy holdout and gamble on receiving a lucrative contract this offseason, the payout was underwhelming. Bell will now be playing for the New York Jets, whom the Steelers will ironically be playing this year. Le'Veon received a 4-year deal with $61 million, $35 million of it guaranteed. If we're looking at it from a purely business standpoint, Bell lost a lot of money. He can say he's truly happy with the situation he's in, but he may not be singing that tune soon. Turmoil has struck the Jets organization. Surprising, I know. The GM who signed him was fired in the middle of May and is now at the whims of a head coach that didn't want him at the price tag he signed to. Some analysts are even boldly predicting that he may be traded before he even takes a snap for the organization. Karma strikes its victims hard. That's all that will be said. Mike Tomlin, now free of two of the biggest distractions on the team, can hopefully focus on not living in his fears and improving his success rates on coaches' challenges. This season will be a critical one for both his job security and reputation across the football landscape. Despite it being the final year of his contract, many outside of the organization believe that he will be extended before the season begins. He'll have a nice new toy to play with on defense as the Steelers uncharacteristically traded up to select an elite middle linebacker in Devin Bush. The last time Pittsburgh traded up in the first round, they selected a guy named Troy Polamalu. Good company. After the calamity of this past season, it was imperative that Pittsburgh fix the situation they allowed to enable and fester for years. 2018 was not only incredible in its scope, but frustrating and agonizing to the average fan. The issue was it kept going. It became its own entity, then died out in a climactic blaze of glory. The Black and Gold Brigade have taken significant strides to eradicate the cancer that has plagued the organization, but there are still questions. Have they done enough? Did they merely take out the symptoms of a greater issue? Most importantly, is it too late? Ben is going to be 37 at the start of the year, and most high-end talents on the offense are gone. Juju will have to prove he can be the guy, same as James Conner. Plus, there will be many perils, including rivals and potential injuries. Who knows what the future may hold, but we can only hope that they don't become another season of Days of Our Steelers. Previously on D.I.V.A. At the end of the day, the final team standing is the Oakland Raiders. So they acquire him for a laughable sum, a 3rd and a 5th round pick. Rewarding his evolution into a completely unlikable cancer, the Oakland Raiders suddenly developed a windfall of money and rewarded Antonio Brown's temper tantrum. It's a payment near equal to his ego. A $20 million pay raise, over $30 million guaranteed. Antonio Brown. His entrance into Raider Nation was a harmonious time. It was an escape from a toxic situation. The Steel City had betrayed him. They would not placate to his demands any longer. With his trade to Oakland and over $30 million of guaranteed money, a new age would begin. Antonio would shed the toxic uniform of the black and gold for the liberation of silver and black. His opening press conference with the team would confirm just that. As he arrives late to it. Easy to excuse, you say. He may have been busy with other endeavors. Perhaps he was caught in other team activities. Everything would be fine. He will turn a new leaf, hold his teammates accountable for their actions. He should note that these words would help him forge a better relationship with his new coaches and teammates. Unlike the Steelers, Oakland will do everything in their power to keep him in line. Whatever was tolerated by his former team would be clearly not on the West Coast. During this time, AB would enjoy the benefits of cryotherapy in France. To rejuvenate him, to make him the best athlete he can truly be. Unfortunately for him, there are these nasty safety recommendations that AB failed to follow in terms of foot protection. The result was extreme frostbite, limiting him from his intense training regimen in the camp that is to come. But our friend Antonio would not be one-upped by anyone in this regard. Last year he arrived to camp by means of private helicopter, but he would need to make this one special. A new team deserves a new start. The wonders of the hot air balloon. No, there was absolutely no need for subtlety, especially after the off-season of escapades went for him. He doesn't need to since he won't be participating in the first few weeks of camp due to the frostbite. After that healed up, though, it should be smooth sailing and heading to peace, right? Well, not if the NFL would have anything to do with it. It unfortunately turns out his preferred helmet, the Shut Air Advantage, no longer met the league's minimum safety requirements. He wasn't the only one. Tom Brady also had this dilemma over the past year, but has chosen to change to a new helmet. AB was not someone to be tamed, however. He wanted his precious helmet no matter what. He would even threaten retirement if he didn't get his wish. Seriously though, man, giving up tens of millions of dollars over a fucking helmet? Come on. The antics were starting to pile up like a crash on the Golden Gate Bridge and nothing would stop it. Brown, in his rather diva-ish ways, chose to make a public spectacle. He filed a grievance against the NFL for the helmet, only for it to be denied. As a result of the helmet issue, he proceeded to no-show practice. I know, shocking considering his past year of behavior. It's at this point where the Raiders are starting to have enough of his shit. They were once supportive of his plight, but now they know he's pushing it too far. A lesson needed to be learned. He was either all in or all out for the team. Most normal people would give it up and simply settle on the new helmet, despite the inconveniences they may or may not bring. You may notice by now Antonio Brown is not normal. He took to social media to secure an updated Shut Air Advantage helmet for the season. It appears that he did succeed in securing one, only for the NFL to deny it as well. A second grievance was filed towards the Shield, and unsurprisingly rejected. It was fortunate that he was able to find a new helmet to wear so we can put this whole saga behind us and focus on what Antonio does best. It's at this time when we come to a dilemma. Is AB's best ability catching the football or creating incredible distractions? Once again, the Raiders are trying to corral the ego of Antonio Brown. They are practicing tough love by holding him to the same standard as everyone else. Cumulative fines of $53,000 for the practice no-show and not participating in a mandatory walkthrough or levy. This is where things get very convoluted. In most circumstances, a player would accept the fines and deal with them privately. You would guess, yes, but even worse. He published the official documentation of the fines on social media, criticizing them despite being completely in the wrong. No, Mr. Brown, you have no leverage here. They aren't hating, they're just trying to enforce their own goddamn rules. You're just chucking rocks at a hornet's nest. Next, you will tell me that Raiders management will get angry that AB went over their heads. Hold on, let me express generalized shock. Mike Mayock wants his team to know that nobody is above the law, and yes, this includes the diva in question. Unlike in Pittsburgh, they're not going to bury everything in order to placate him. They will confront him on his actions. Antonio, unsurprisingly, did not take this well. He was openly hostile with Mayock, verbally assaulting him for damaging him and his character. In typical bridge-burning fashion, he threatened to punch him in the face. When in doubt, threatened physical violence. In fact, up the ante by calling him a cracker and a bitch. That's definitely the way to get in management's good graces. To top it all off, he punted a football and said, "Fine me for that." Be careful, if it's a 50-yard punt, you may be stuck on special teams duty. Even more than being restrained by Fontes during the exchange. Yes, that one. Probably won't happen since the big statement was made. He unfollowed the Raiders and Derek Carr on Instagram. Considering he lives on social media, this is probably more damning than anything. Like, dude, what are you doing? We scorned bridesmaids in Pittsburgh knew any team you went to was going to have their hands full, but to implode before playing it down? You do realize that everyone now thinks the return the Steelers got is a steal, right? All you're doing is proving every one of your critics right. And it may cost you everything. The Raiders plan on suspending Antonio for an undetermined period of time. If the dice roll a certain way, it may even cost AB nearly all of his guaranteed money. They could cut him for no penalty if they so desired, if this is the case. It doesn't matter the talent if you can't get onto the field, you know? Where does this lead the Raiders? Will Antonio Brown get the message and focus on his talents? Is Mike Mayock trying too hard to be a hard ass? Does John Gruden have to make a tough decision regarding this brewing civil war? We will answer that right now. They will do nothing. AB is not suspended and will in fact be starting in week 1 of the NFL season, thus guaranteeing his money for 2019, undercutting Mayock and making him into an organizational puppet. The Raiders just look really spineless here. You had a situation to tell your team that nobody was above the logo on the helmet, yet Gruden chose to appease a diva's fragile ego. Remember, they said the worst was over when they gave Hitler the Sudetenland. Everyone knows this will flare up again. It's only a matter of when. What a joke. In the meantime, I once again wanted to thank Sports Betting Dime for sponsoring this video. Remember, their championship trackers are your friend. Use them often. Seems like a good morning indeed. I can get some yard work done, work on a few long-term projects, a nice, relaxing day. Can you please stop for 5 minutes? To think I was expecting things to die down for a few weeks before AB decided to strut the peacock feathers again. No, this event would occur as the rendered video was cooling down. Things seemed to have calmed, but Antonio took to the skies of YouTube to release a video on the situation. This is no ordinary video, you see, for Antonio has intelligence. He released a private conversation between him and John Gruden. Why is this a problem? One-way recording without the other person's consent is illegal in the state of California. I don't care that Gruden apparently thought it was awesome. He violated law and broke the fucking trust between him and the coach. Okay, but that should end it. Let's just go to sleep and reassess everything in the morning. I can't have a moment of peace, can I? The Raiders barely had AB back into the fold again, so what do they choose to do? Try and reinstill discipline on the Diva, because that worked so well the last time you tried it. But this time, he would have to learn a hard lesson. Antonio Brown had punted a ball and said, "Find me for that." And they did. For over $215,000. Better have been a great pun and argument, since this comes with an added bonus. All of the guaranteed money is now void. Antonio Brown has pissed away $30 million, and for what? His ego? Instead of just going out there and doing his job, he chose to pout and bitch up a storm about every goddamn thing under the sun. He learned nothing from Pittsburgh. He put himself over the team yet again, and it may have cost him everything. Hell, these are even worse than the stunts he pulled as a Steeler. AB unsurprisingly outright refused to play for Oakland. He had demanded his release via Instagram. With the guaranteed money no longer in play, what was the point of playing for a team that didn't give him incentive? Why should he have to earn his paycheck week to week? He's Antonio Brown. He always gets what he wants. This time, the Raiders would capitulate to him. Antonio Brown was released. From an emotional apology 24 hours earlier to burning the last bridge out of town as a final fuck you. Ladies and gentlemen, this is how you destroy a career. The Raiders may look like absolute shit here, but the big loser is Antonio Brown. Pissing away more than 99.9% of the world will ever make him potentially his entire career down the drain because he couldn't keep his fucking head in check. Even worse, after all of this, he still considers himself the victim. He thinks he's free because he sabotaged his own reputation through a series of fucked up events. Look, AB, when people like O.J. Simpson and T.O. are telling you to calm your tits, I don't think you're as much of a victim as you think. The thing that angers me the most is that he had it all. Godlike athleticism, ability, money, fame, adoration. Yet he squandered it all out of pettiness. At least with guys like Gordon, Bryant, and Blackman, they fell due to trying to escape their demons. With the Diva, it was his desire for more. What he had was never enough. All the love and care and adoration in the world wouldn't have sufficed. He just wanted to go higher and higher. Antonio must have never heard about Icarus. So where does this leave AB now? Well, he's out tens of millions of dollars, his professional reputation in tatters, 2 scorned fan bases in his path, and a future of serious doubt. No, I don't think his professional career is over. There's going to be a team desperate for his talent that thinks they can control him. What, you expect a real team like the Patriots to gamble on taking in this cancer? That'll be the day. And what a shocker, he got another job quickly. The newest team he'll be ruining is... Are you fucking kidding me?
Dad, go.
Fuck everything. Seriously, fuck everything. Duke got rewarded with a stronger team by pulling another fucking temper tantrum. A $15 million salary and $9 million signing bonus. For that preseason, yeah, he took a pay cut with New England, but it's a 1-year deal. He'll make that money back when another stupid team gives him a new contract. You know he's going to turn into this goody two-shoes now and put up all-pro numbers. It's what the Patriots do. The rich get richer. We're gonna turn into a salt mine by October, good Christ.
You can't keep getting away with it! He can't keep getting away with it!
The solo output of sodium chloride is brought to you with limited commercial interruption by SeatGeek. With the NFL season officially underway, this app is sure to be a trusty ally. It takes all of the tickets available on the resale market and aggregates them to make sure you're getting the best value. Look at these features. It sorts all tickets from red to green on a 1 to 100 scale. It gives you a view from where you'll be sitting. You can even get scanned into games from the app. For further advantage, use the code word TREE to save $20 off your first purchase. This year may be full of surprises, but SeatGeek is as constant as the world spins. And now for our feature presentation. Do you hear that? That sweet, serene nectar to the ears. No trauma. No more pain. No more anguish. No more days of our Steelers. I can finally relax. I can sit back and laugh at the Raiders. He's your problem now, boys. I wonder who the Steelers are playing in their first game. Fuck. If there's one thing I will say, thank God Pittsburgh got rid of Antonio Brown when they did. Remember when everyone was laughing at the Steelers? I remember. We all do. I never complained about the return, since such is the price you pay for the cancer tax. Oh, the threats to retire, blowing up the coaches, pure schadenfreude. Mwah. We tried warning you all. You said we were overblowing everything. A team with structure will fix him. Guess what? They cut him. They released his fucking ass. I told you all. I fucking told you. The Steelers just won the Super Bowl and all it cost us was $21 million in dead cap. Party time, baby! With this premature celebration of the Yinzer in his habitat, something sinister was bubbling. This seismic activity would shake the very core of his fandom. What? The Steelers had no longer won the Super Bowl. He signed with the fucking Patriots? Fuck! Fuck! Why does God hate us? Antonio Brown to the Patriots? The team the Steelers are always at least 2 steps behind on any given Sunday? Do you understand they have to go into Foxborough and deal with their Super Bowl presentation and now this? I mean, at least he won't play, but you know what? I not only hope the Steelers win, I hope they fucking crush them. Hearing their misery will warm my cold, salty heart to a boil. Do this and all the drama of the past few years will be forgiven. It would take a bit for this to become reality. The pregame ceremony needed to commence, in which they would flex, and flex, and flex. They needed to show the world who was the true king of the gridiron, and that would continue on the field of play. Any hope that the Black and Gold Brigade had of winning was quickly vanquished. It wasn't just a defeat, it was a massacre. Seriously? You've had how long to prepare for this game? Isn't this supposed to be your hypothetical Super Bowl? Your chance to reassert yourselves among the elite? What the hell happened? It's like I'm seeing 2 entirely different teams out there. Like I truly didn't expect them to win, but I'd at least figured they'd make it competitive. They got straight up pantsed on national television. And worse, it's against New England. Fucking New England. The one team that the Steelers have never been able to beat when it truly mattered. The one boogeyman that has haunted this team's dreams for about 20 years. And you lay down and die. I don't understand it. When did the play calling suddenly get so conservative? Screens and tosses on 3rd down? Look, I know you lost your best wideout in Juju's on a literal fly trap, but what happened to Vance McDonald? Dude was a wrecking ball last year and you threw to him once. At the end of the game. That Patriots defense flat out toyed with you all game long. There was no chance. Hold up, let me look something up here. Oh my god, I'm Dante Moncrief! This is the big free agent signing to replace Antonio, so force the ball so we can drop it like it's hot about 6 damn times. What's that, Mr. Tomlin? You're going to kick a field goal at the 1-yard line? Aren't you supposed to be one of the more aggressive coaches in football? There are times when kicking a field goal near the goal line makes sense. In the first quarter or with a lead. This was the 3rd quarter and you were down by 20. You need points. You need a lot of them. Going conservative is the last thing you should be doing. Perhaps you should do that for your defense. That was getting fucking torched all game long. Man coverage, don't have the talent for it. Zone D, Brady eats that shit for breakfast. Julian Edelman doing his thing, have Bud Dupree cover him. The most disturbing part? The only missing piece was Sean Davis. This is your full-strength defense. The Patriots technically should have had even more points than they did. There's one play that symbolizes this game, it's this.
False start. Offense. All alignment except for the center.
False start. Everyone except the center. The entire league is moving, but the Steelers missed the snap and just held position. And they paid dearly for it. I know it's only one game, and I have this foolish hope that they have a chance at the wild card, but this was a pretty symbolic loss. It's 2 different franchises on 2 differing paths. One with the riches and the other looking enviously at them. Call me salty because I technically am. Is it a problem that I expected this team to at least look competitive? And now the team that beat them got Antonio Brown. Enjoy those rape allegations though, New England. Thank God we got rid of him when we did.
Hey, that really sucked!
Dear Antonio Brown, can you ever shut the fuck up? For like a day? Maybe 2? If we're lucky, it can be a week. You can keep your head down, you can catch a football for millions of dollars and laugh at us insignificant critics as you put up Pro Bowl numbers again. You're on a serious Super Bowl contender. You have a new helmet deal. You got everything you wanted. What the fuck is enough? Seriously, stop. Fucking stop. This is what I get for sticking my dick in crazy, isn't it? Stop the ride. I want to get off this train now. Tried warning you all. The Patriots would control him, you said. Nope. Big ol' nope there. Not even before the ink dries up on the contract, Antonio is accused of rape. Nothing screams the Patriot way like having a happy ending, be it willingly or forced. He'll fit in fine, you said. He fucking Supermaned the woman. If there's anything that screams humiliating, it's that move. As long as he pulls that off on the field, Antonio will be fine now. The statute of limitations has lapsed and he won't be charged for these allegations. Now we can at least get to football. Antonio Brown managed to play a game. Shocking, I know. He had a few catches and even scored a touchdown. Pats fans are hoping it's the first of many with their team. That would be the case if this wasn't Antonio Brown. AB does not understand logic. He only cares for his own interests. Another article came out a few days later with more allegations. One including a doctor who was stiff for payments. Learned that Brown's favorite TV show is Terrence and Phillip. Yeah, sounds like him, alright. The big issue, though, was another woman coming forward with allegations of sexual assault. Sounds like hearsay, but just like him wearing nothing but a loincloth, he decided to be a fucking idiot. He intimidated her in text messages. He sicked his posse on her. He doxed her kids. He did it all without using a burner phone. What the fuck is wrong with you? Do we need to put you in a jail cell next to Felipe Vasquez? Is this worth losing your sponsorships with Nike and Zenith? Is it? But he still has a job, you say. He's fine. Are you ready for some news, boys? You ready? You want to hear it? They fucking cut him.
You have fucked up now. Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up. Now you fucked up.
I'm going to ask again. Can you fucking stop destroying your own career? I want to focus on other shit, you know? When you get cut by the Patriots of all teams, that may be a sign you're done. The NFL is investigating him, and his only options left for a team are, what, the Cowboys and Redskins? Yeah, you're fucked, buddy. You hate to see it. Enjoy being broke in 5 years. God, what an idiot.
Another headline today focusing on Antonio Brown. Does any of this at all affect his status with the team?
Yeah, I think I've already addressed this, so we're going to get ready for the Jets here. Happy to answer any football questions, but the rest of it, I'm done with the rest of it. Okay, so, yeah, I'm good. Okay, thank you.
This video and all of its hateful glory is sponsored by Raycon. Wireless earbuds are all the rage nowadays. The freedom of movement with quality sound, but those price points. They'll cost you more than an appendage. But what if I told you that you could get the same audio performance of a major brand for roughly half the price? Here's your answer. The E25. Raycon's newest model is easily their best one yet. 6 hours of battery life, seamless Bluetooth pairing, beefed up bass, and an even better noise isolating fit. As this Yinzer displays on your screen, Raycon earbuds offer you a sleek, unobtrusive look with relative comfort and ease of use. The sound so seamless and pure that you won't go back to anything else. If you don't like black, they offer them in white, red, and blue. That's always a good thing. For backing, Raycon was co-founded by Ray J and are regularly worn by the likes of Snoop Dogg and Brandy. There's clout here. I know you probably weren't convinced by this Yinzer and his shabby goatee, but maybe this will. Raycon is offering you 15% off of the E25 earbuds. All you have to do is go to buyraycon.com/utree or click the link in the description below to get started. Once again, thank Raycon for sponsoring this video. Now on to the show. It felt so good to not talk about Antonio Brown over the past few months. You'd be shocked about how little I gave a shit about him during the NFL season. If there's any sense in this world, he'd be trying to get his life in order and get back onto the football field. Let's take a gander at how he's done since then. How am I not surprised by this? Yes, Patrick, there's been another Antonio Brown thing. Quite a lot of them. After his release from the Patriots due to being a goddamn idiot, AB would consistently defend himself with the classic excuse of his demise being everyone else's fault. Because, you know, it had nothing to do with the actions we've seen over the past year and change. Then, like clockwork, he would apologize to everyone he bitched at days earlier. Anything for some goodwill, I guess. He even got himself another chance at the professional level. A tryout with the New Orleans Saints. Even with the sexual misconduct charges hanging around his neck, his talent will always get a shot. The Saints had one request of Brown, though. To not bring his entourage with him. You would not be surprised to find out that AB brought his entourage to the Big Easy. It's great promotional material for the brand, and that's all that matters. It wouldn't hurt that Antonio Brown is still talented and miles the Saints brass in his workout. Sadly, there's still that investigation going on since September. He is not signed by New Orleans. What a travesty. Antonio lashes out at the organization and their awful publicity stunt. Don't they know the Saints are irrelevant without his services? Unemployment remains his fate in the football realm, but he hasn't been exactly sitting on his laurels. In his excommunication from the gridiron, AB has chosen to take the Le'Veon route. No, not in holdouts, but in a rap career.
Whole lot of money, whole lot of money, got a whole lot of money, whole lot of money, I got a whole lot of money, whole lot of money, got a whole lot of money.
No more white women 2020. Antonio's efforts to further diversify his portfolio. Incoherent and auto-tuned to all hell, Mr. Big Chest merely reinforces that he has no talent at all in rapping. It won't stop him from opening up for better rappers and throwing his money around. Don't worry about the money he's throwing away. He's going to be preparing for his inevitable boxing match with Logan Paul. That was not misspoken. It's merely symbolic of what he's been doing over the past year. Antonio's dad has lamented his demise. He pleads that Antonio gets the help he needs to overcome his self-destructive tendencies. Aiding ESPN in a story about Brown's ignominious fall from grace can only push his son in the right direction, right? It didn't. Antonio's response was to the 280-character battlefield of Twitter. My dad a failure with 9 kids working at UPS. He still pays his mom child support. Do not take anything he says serious. I just bought him a Rolex for wasted time. Only news he can make talking about me. What about your other 8 kids, chump? He's obviously interested in the help. Keep going, Dad. Here, despite months of dodging the karma of his actions, it hits him like... Can I even say that without it being deemed as offensive? Too soon? Not for his lawyer. If you've noticed by now, AB isn't the biggest fan of paying bills for services given. This includes the guy defending his actions. Unlike most passes thrown to him, he was dropped. Good luck with those grievances against your old teams. He's also currently involved in a lawsuit with his former landlord in Florida. You know, the one where he threw furniture off of a 14th floor balcony? He can at least take shelter that Drew Rosenhaus has his back. A near-infallible relationship for most of the time. Even he has had enough of this bullshit. Antonio was released from his agency with a chance at conditional reinstatement. AB proceeded to once again bitch about his slight on social media. But what about the mother of his kids? What does she have to think about this whole mess? Well, if the idea that she allegedly tried to steal his car and he called the cops on her is a good sign, then we've hit gold. Unlike past affairs, AB had a secret weapon he threw at his scorned lover. A bag of dicks. It was thrown for maximum damage, along with him yelling at the woman and the cops in front of his kids. And it was all broadcast live on Instagram. My question in all of this is simple. How long has he had a bag of dicks lying around for? If you wanted more answers to this, yes, he posted the bag itself on Twitter. Leaves little to the imagination. The downward spiral is continuing, but first he boasts that the AB curse eliminated the Patriots and Saints from the playoffs. That's why he probably hired a mover to send countless social media messages to New Orleans and Foxborough. I know that isn't it, but let's pretend so. Remember what I said about AB and not paying people for services? Well, the mover made the mistake of asking for payment on a $4,000 bill. Brown and his trainer immediately give him hell, throwing rocks at the man as he tries to run away. He has to charge towards this driver, get in his truck, and start hitting him for his misdeeds. How dare he make Antonio Brown pay for something? Unfortunately, this is what we in the civilized world call battery. His trainer was arrested immediately as our unemployed friend locked himself in his house for the short term. A warrant was then issued for his arrest, and he surprisingly turned himself into police. Charged on a felony count of burglary with battery and several misdemeanors. You think this is rock bottom? You're mistaken. There is no bottom here. This isn't even funny to watch and snicker at. This is fucking depressing. There's a reason why I didn't give a shit about Antonio Brown for months on end, and this is why. His greatest enemy is himself. To think that in a little over a year's time, AB would go from one of the greatest receivers in football to this is mind-boggling. What is his legacy today? A bag of dicks. And it'll probably only get worse from here. The massive chip on his shoulder was the main reason why he became the transcendent talent that he was on the field. It is also the primary suspect for his downfall. It's quite obvious he doesn't want help, so I'm not going to say anything implying such. He'll have to be broken first before he gets to that point. No, I'm not going to speculate that this is CTE. We'll never know this for a fact until he's dead. I'd find it more ironic if he doesn't have it and is only just a gargantuan asshole. It would be fitting, at least.
Oh, pass interference too. It's a 1st and goal at the 1. Oh, come on. Let's see what this play was. It's on the Honey Badger. That's an incidental contact. I don't know if you can call that pass interference. Like, at worst, that's holding. That's not PI. Whatever. Yeah, it's, that's not PI. That's at worst a hold. That's incidental contact. But Tom Brady, 1st and goal at the 1. Quick handoff. He's going to throw it to Antonio Brown. Touchdown. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you. Fucking Antonio Brown. Give me 1 second. Okay, and we do have another flag. Shocking. Fuck Antonio Brown. Fuck Antonio Brown. That fucker does not deserve to be on a fucking team. He's a fucking cancer. Fuck him. God fucking damn it. You had one choice to win, Tampa. Oh, Tom Brady's jumping at the honey badger. Yeah, that's a good job. Go pay the refs more, Tom. Come on. You can never leave the spotlight, can you, Antonio Brown? Whenever things get quiet or I stop being triggered over you being a Super Bowl champion, there's more bullshit to add to the pile. This time, it involves a former chef of his that, shocker, was never paid for services performed. Being owed around $10,000, he played his one gambit in trying to secure what's due. He revealed that AB's lying about his vaccination status. He was given a fake vax card from teammates. Tampa Bay denied that it was fraudulent and that the team was fully vaccinated, but what the hell do you think happened? The NFL investigation concluded that AB, Mike Edwards, and free agent John Franklin all forged their vaccination status. And all three have been suspended for 3 games as a result. They say they're now vaccinated. And I know the comparison is going to be made to Aaron Rodgers, but there's a big difference. The NFL and the Packers organization knew that Rodgers wasn't vaccinated by their standards. AB, Edwards, and Franklin had all lied to the NFL and the Bucs about their status. And that makes them clear-cut lolcows of the week to me. Never fuck with the NFL. They'll arbitrarily come down hard on people if you do.
Catch made to the end zone. Cyril Grayson.
Big shock, Brady pulled out another goddamn miracle because he shits on the Jets like his morning dump. Le'Veon Bell, of all people, gets his revenge against the team that cut him. These are the only important things that happened in this game. Nothing else occurred. Nothing whatsoever. I am in no way going to talk about how Antonio Brown is an irreparable cancer and possibly dealing with undiagnosed CTE. I was told by Bruce Arians that this guy had turned a new leaf. We couldn't have predicted this would happen because of some fake vax cards? No. AB was on his last leash and he somehow fucked a situation that was all but foolproof. In the third quarter, Bruce Arians told Antonio Brown to go into the game despite an ankle injury he apparently told no one about. Little did Bruce know that he ruptured him like Arians did his Achilles. The diva needs to take center stage. With half a second of thoughtful consideration of the fans and his teammates, he removed his uniform on the sidelines and showed the world his fantastically big chest. AB's a cancer walking down the field. He's at the 2, the 1, touchdown end of his NFL career. He's pumping up the crowd, celebrating with the ultimate end zone dance as he rides off into the sunset. Johnny Rotten said it best. It's better to burn out than to fade away. Antonio Brown embraces this thinking as his Bucs tenure is over. I know MetLife Stadium is a shithole and he's being shadowed by a TikTok influencer, but this is quite the way to go out. From a potential gold jacket to needing nothing but a stray jacket. AB is going to be a cautionary tale about ego and self-destruction for a long time. He's not only lolcow of the week for this week, he's retroactively lolcow of the week for last week as well. Seriously, man. Get some fucking help. Only place this dude belongs is in a psych ward. If Antonio Brown's mission was to burn every goddamn bridge he's ever come across and ruin his career, then it's been accomplished. His self-destruction is a generational talent. And the petty Yinzer in me is merely saying, I fucking told you so. He was officially cut from the Bucs on Thursday. And ever since then, he's been going scorched earth. I'm not saying Tampa Bay is completely innocent here. There are instances where a team completely fucks over a player that's injured, but this doesn't feel like it's it. Riddle me this, Batman. If an ankle injury is so severe, why the hell are you making these incredible cuts on the field? Why aren't you telling anyone on the training staff about it? The organization set up appointments with New York-based doctors so you wouldn't only get the surgery you needed, but get paid what you were owed. Knowing AB, this isn't about the ankle, but it's about not getting the ball enough. Big shock, that's what it probably was about. It was the final straw for Arians. And they told him to fuck off from the field. Now we know that part wasn't Antonio, but the rest of it was him. Even violating COVID protocol by fucking a chick who licked toilets and telling her to, quote, watch what I do tomorrow. What I don't get is him shitting all over the Bucs organization and Tom Brady in interviews. Dude thought this text convo put Brady's trainer Alex Guerrero in a bad light. And AB ended up posting his bank account information on accident. Bitch, are you for real? You became such cancer that nobody wanted to touch you after what you did in Oakland. Tom Brady was the only reason you got this gig in the first place. And he's out here bitching about not being paid enough? Are you really this dense, man? What happened to the over $30 million guaranteed from the Raiders you pissed away? How about the $1 million in bonuses you just sabotaged? You're incinerating dollars while whining about pennies. Fucking goddamn idiot's about to make himself bankrupt in 5 years. For what? Petty retribution? Blatant narcissism? Something more morbid? I hate talking about this shit.
Stop it. Get some help.